octave generator with it as well.
Could you bend the note like a
pitch bend,
or like a guitar neck with big frets? And you can play it regular, but if you really press down on it, you can almost get a bend.
Mm-hmm. It has. I think with MIDI, which presuming that's what they're still using, since they've been using that language since the '60s. But yeah, it has something like 128 different levels. It can still be Boolean if you want, but you could set for, I think they're called banks or patches, but whatever the nomenclature is, the parameters for it, there's like 128 of them, and then you can set that to be, there's 256 parameters, and within that you can set them to either be Boolean on or off, or you can set it to be a value of like 0 to 127.
So you can, so it's almost like the little pads that some guys have used. It's almost like a graph. So it's like a little touch screen, and then and wherever your finger goes, it kind of
I think one was called a chaos pad, or those things are pretty cool. I'm not sure how you become like a virtuoso player on it.
I don't I don't think there's an Yngwie Malmsteen of chaos pads, but I did see a guy. He had wired one into his guitar, and he had it down on his guitar. And I don't know if he, say you're turning your gain all the way up so you can just fret, with your left hand on the neck, and then playing with the not strumming, but just playing with the chaos pad.
Yeah,
and it may be plugged into a sample box or something else from there, just producing ridiculous sounds.
Yeah, it's crazy. Have you ever seen Thrice before?
No.
I saw Thrice twice, and there's only 4 dudes, right? So, but you'll see the bass player and the other guitar player that's not Dustin, I think his name is, the singer. But they're off on the wings, but they've also got laptops and keyboards and like pads and gadgets and whatnot. So there's some of their songs, they were torn off of the Alchemy Index. But they you'd see them, they're like doing tappy stuff with like their left hand on the fret. Meanwhile, they're playing a piano lick with the right hand.
Simple.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I wish I could. I always say, if you had a choice, which instrument, or if you had a talent, it's like I wish I could play piano, and because I think that would translate from there to more good, any other instrument or whatever. Maybe not, but it was always funny. It's like, yeah, you read the music and you press the key. As simple as that.
I would run into because I can't read music and play the music at the same time. Yeah. Like my brain just totally shuts the fuck down. But I would meet people that they're not very no offense to their musicianship, they're not very creative. So if you ask them hey, come up with just some little piano lick to go with this nice music and complement it. They won't know what to do, but you put sheet music in front of them and they'll just run amok.
Okay. Well, I guess then because they'll know their Mixolydian. Or what I was like, oh, we can go from there and we'll just move it here and down and doodle-oo.
Yeah. It's because it has to be played one way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's I haven't used them too often, but there's some pretty cool programs I have used before. They'll take MIDI notes and it'll translate your compositions into sheet music from the piano roll that I'll use in the software. So that's really cool.
That's really cool.
Because I'll look at some of my songs and I'll be like, this song is just so complex, and then I'll look at it on what's doing with MIDI. I'm like, there ain't shit going on. It's like there's just 4 notes bouncing around. And then other stuff to what you were saying about translating between piano and guitar. Because it does vary. The one thing I'll say, the piano that sets it apart is that this one note on the piano, like middle C, you can only find this note here.
Yeah.
And on a guitar, the mathematics are different, so
Yeah.
you can find that particular like a 443 or 440A.
Okay.
Like you could find it probably in numerous places.
Yeah. There's some cool stuff people do, and they do it. They find it based on that. You know, maybe they got into music, say like Annie Clark with St. Vincent. You know, maybe started off like
She's a bad motherfucker on guitar.
we got to see her in Atlanta a couple years ago on her, I think it was Mass Seduction tour, and for either the first half of the tour or the second, she did a like a one-woman show. So she had just all the backing stuff over the PA or whatever, and then she was just up there by herself playing and singing, and it was very cool. And hearing her sounds live, you know, is always better than the album.
Yeah.
You know, always better than you know, some of those YouTube clips now you can find, or like the From the Basement clips where they get Radiohead or even Queens of Stone Age. Some folks they've released where they're live and they capture some of the what do you call it, where they start playing around with it. They start
Improv?
Yeah, they start just a little bit, not much, but you can hear where they might not have the pedal they had in the studio. They've got a different pedal, or they've been playing the song now for 2 years.
They're fucking sick of it.
20,000 times, yeah. And they're like, that sound sucks. I like this sound over here now.
Well, I've always thought that live performance, you should give me something different than just your music. I want you to sound just like the album.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Because like I can listen to your album. I want you to give me a show.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I saw Chris Cornell twice.
Oh man.
I saw him with Soundgarden back 2011, like shortly before I moved back down here. Like incredible. And then again with Audio Slave with Phil and my buddy Tim. Like, we were young. This was, like, I think they were on their debut tour.
Yeah.
It was, 20 years ago. But when they played, Jesus Christ Pose, like, Soundgarden, like, that song came out in, like, 1991. Here it was 2011, so it's 20 years later. So, like, the rhythm for it was, like, really, really fast and, like, really up-tempo. And, like, you felt the drums and, like, I was on ecstasy, but it made you want to dance regardless of it.
I
you
can
know
see
what I
the
mean?
drums. I can see the drum sounds.
I'm not a big. I don't really condone, I guess, recreational use of MDMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it, so it makes me a fucking hypocrite. But it's extremely therapeutic. But seeing like Soundgarden, they made me want to like do something with music, like as a child. So like it was a therapeutic moment for me anyway. Plus, then I just wanted to booty dance the whole time. And I was shaking it.
Yeah,
it's fucking good. But when we saw Tom Morello with Audio Slave, there were a couple of solos where he would change it up because he didn't want to play it like. By the books.
Bing, bang, boom.
Yeah. But, I mean, those three are pretty... Most of their music's pretty by the books. No discredit to them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Rage Against the Machine, like, and Audio Slave, most of the songs, like, once they start, you kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
What to expect.
Well, we saw... you're going to laugh. It was fun. We saw ZZ Top right here. 2008 or something, they came by... And it was whatever you hear on the radio was exactly what came out of those amps, and they were playing it. I mean, they were good, they were smooth. I mean, professional, way better than I'll ever be at anything. But it was exactly what it was on the albums. What you hear on the radio every day. God bless radio, you know. But Billy Gibbons can play the guitar.
Yeah,
you know, he's a master.
I saw him in Kid Rock on television, like, playing a song at like MTV's birthday one year.
They're buds. There's some YouTube series that came out 5 years ago. I don't know if it's defunct now. It's called Guitar Moves, and it's kind of like an intimate session with. There's one with Josh Homme, there's one with Andy Clark, and there's one with Billy Gibbons, and they just go down, they sit down, they talk. It's real close, just like this, and they just talk about what got you into music. You know, did you have a teacher? You know, what's something you learned along the way that was like a weird like guitar move? Like I put my pinky here and I do this and I find a weird harmonic and I pluck it like this or whatever. And Billy Gibbons sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, out of frame, Kid Rock comes in and like hands him a beer, and it's like, what? The human version of an above ground pool, right there. Right. But I guess they were at like one of Kid Rock's secret trailer compounds.
It's under the pool.
Yeah. It's built out of old school buses, you know.
He was on, not Billy Gibbons, Richie, whatever his name is, Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Like Robert Ritchie or something like that. Bob Ritchie. He was on some news channel sometime during this Trump era or whatnot. But he was trash talking like how entertainment venues, like i.e. concerts, sporting events, they become a luxury when it used to be something that like everybody could bond over because 100 years ago, like the poorest person could get into like a baseball game. It wasn't anything like that like it is now. And like he was talking about how concerts have gotten the same. Then he brought out, I think he said for his concert tickets he was throwing in like something like a 32-ounce beer. He was going to feed you. Well, like guaranteed like seats and guaranteed money back, like all that shit.
Well, Kid Rock, a guy at work went and saw him a few years ago, and this was maybe like 2009 or 2010. So,
grab this mouse real quick. Keep going.
It was right after the recession, all that. Everybody's hurting. You know, everybody's going through something. And he got up there and said, you know, I know this concert costs a lot of money to come to, especially right now for a lot of people. And he's like, we're going to put on the best show we can for everybody. And we appreciate you coming. You know, but just to say it.
Right.
A lot of people won't say it, not because I'm not saying like musicians or bands, like I think overwhelmingly they've all gone through we bought a $1,500 van together and toured for a while and went through it. They know how it is.
Right.
But getting out there and just throwing it to the front immediately and just saying thanks.
People need reassurance like that sometimes. I've seen bands that I absolutely adored and then met them and saw how they acted and just been like, what a douche. Like, completely like did not like the band. There was this was years ago. She was sweet. She used to play for Perfect Circle and Zwan, Paz and Chanton, I think is her name. But she was in this band called the Entrance Band or the Entrance. This was like 10 plus years ago. So, but we went over there to see him from Jersey into Philly, and they were just the opening band. I forget who else was playing. We stuck around for a little bit, and then it was just like this is kind of lame. But we met them outside. I'm talking to or I see the singer. I like going to talk with him, and he like has like. I guess you would call it like a canned response, like something to like pacify quote unquote fans with, where he was like I was like, hey man, thank you very much, thank you, dude, I like that's really great. And he turns and he keeps talking to this girl. There's nobody around him, right? This is just like they're just chilling in an alley, and then he sees I'm still standing there. He stops talking with her and looks back at me. This is only over like 5 seconds. I'm just wordy about it. But he says the same thing again. He leans in like I'm stupid. He's like, oh, thank you.
Oh,
Like, shoe.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, what? Are you serious? Like, so, like, I turn around and my roommate Alec, he's talking about Pats, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, fuck this guy, like she's way cooler anyway, you know. And she was like really, really sweet and like took time to like actually listen to us. She saw there was nothing going on. This guy was just trying to get his dick wet. From the one girl in the audience. That wasn't. Whatever.
I think anybody can get, it depends on your personality going into it, I'm sure. But after a while, you go through a jaded spell, and just don't give a fuck.
Well, I think it happened. I mean, it definitely happened with me whenever I was younger. Anytime like stuff I created, I started getting praised for it. You know what I mean? Like it just goes to your head. But I can't imagine on not that guy's level, but on fucking somebody like Josh Homme's level, because I've seen Josh Homme be like a total dick. But at the same time, these are usually people that are either trying to take his spotlight from him or heckling him in some way. Other than I saw one guy throw a joint on stage and they tried ejecting him, and he was like, no, it's cool, bring him back. He lights the joint. He's like, this next guitar solo's all about this bitchin' joint right here. It's pretty cool.
Like you said, I mean, if you've got somebody like that, and I think you could go back to anybody that gets mega famous. Like if say you've got a these football stars, just for instance, if they're in college and they're the starting quarterback, whatever, they were probably the best player at their high school. They were probably for a big name team, say Texas or Georgia or whatever, pick one.
Right.
They were probably the best player at their high school that they've seen in a generation. So the whole town, the whole school, everybody on their coattails, tell them how great they are all the time, just getting stuff left and right.
I was about to say, especially at the collegiate level, there's so much exploitation that it's. I won't be holier now and be like, it's the reason why I stopped watching. I mean, no, the reason why I stopped watching it because I just lost interest. But getting older and seeing all this, the first time stuff like that made me question was somebody had a game and it was an NCAA game. And they didn't have names.
It's all numbers. Numbers and position.
They're still kicking though.
Well, they there was a lawsuit that the players, just so happened there's a player at Tennessee, and he's 6'4" and has Peyton Manning has got a cannon for an arm. Well, just so happens on the video game there's a guy with the same jersey number and he's 6'4" and has 99 rated arm, and so there was a lawsuit a few years ago, and I think the lawsuit argued in favor or found in favor of that if the players' likenesses are going to be in this multi-million-dollar video game every year, they should get some sort of compensation. Well, Electronic Arts was the main company making the NCAA game every year, and they quit making it. I think in maybe 2010, maybe 2014. I can't remember. There hasn't been another one since because of that. Because they don't know, how much it would cost to pay out all these players for whatever level of player likeness licensing fees.
Shouldn't it just be a flat percent for all of them across the board? They do that with points on albums and music, and well, they used to, where it's not about we sold all these albums or whatnot. Well, you have points, and you as a band, you have say 10 out of 100 points on an album. They can then delineate different percentages to different points. So the points aren't you have 10%. You have 10 points, and these points of yours are worth X.
Okay.
And meanwhile, these type of points are worth something else.
So there's some Excel spreadsheet somewhere tied to album sales, ticket sales, or whatever.
There's like some like V lookup formula just going crazy.
Yeah. There's a computer the size of this room calculating royalties.
It's like they would have a. I mean, I wasn't alive, obviously, but like from 1960s, they'd be like the world of tomorrow.
Yeah.
Computers will be as large as cities.
Yeah. The cargo planes flying in parts. A new megabyte of RAM flew in today. It took 18 C-130s to bring it all in, but Brazil's finally on the map. Oh man!
Thank you for watching. We're just in live at the bridge to the moon.
Yeah.
Carol's gonna bring us a live update on that. Carol.
This moon bridge is epic. Oh man! Speaking of bridges, we went to San Francisco a few years ago, and it was like, yeah, we'll take the double-decker bus tour, and we're gonna go across the Golden Gate Bridge and see what that's about. And, you see how it's made stuff and all that. What the wonderful Discovery Channel programs they put out. we get on the bus, and I don't even remember what time of year it was. Maybe it was July. Maybe
bus season.
Yeah, I think any time in California is bus season. And it's like, screw it, it's our first day. We're gonna take the bus tour and go around, whatever. So we get on the damn bus and it's double decker. It's like, well, I want to sit up top so I can see everything.
Shut up.
And they start driving, and you get on that damn bridge, and the wind coming across there like blew my sunglasses off. I had a little hoodie, knit hat, whatever. Blew it off. Like I was like, caught it. Just the wind coming across there. I guess that's why they do all the when they do the America's Cup, which is like the yacht racing with the carbon fiber mega yachts that Oracle supercomputer company sponsors. They race them in there because of the wind coming through.
I've been across once. I was like, I think 14 or 15, fairly still in the recall memory, but because like the Pacific Coast is way different than the East Coast.
It's not the Gulf where you go sit and put your feet in the water. It's like, it's like a warm pool.
This is like I don't know. It kind of feels like like before a hurricane happens.
Yeah,
like that's how it feels. like the wind on the West Coast,
like at all hours.
Yeah,
and I couldn't believe it. And the wind was cold. It was very cold, and these people are riding bikes across, and I'm like, how are you making it across? And then of course you pass the guys that are working on it. People are working on the bridge year round, all day, every day, and I'm like, how do you not get blown off, like inadvertently sometimes? But they'll put up these tarps, whatever spot they're working on that day, on either side, and give them a wind block. And I guess they got cables and all. Got safety now. They didn't have safety back when it was built.
Right.
You got the cables and you got your harness or whatever, and you hook to it. But just the size of it, and knowing guys that got to go up and down it to work on it in that wind, because it's not like, we're not going to work on it today. It's going to be windy. We'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
When the weather's better. It's like all the time, and so that was cool from that perspective to see just the wild west of bridge salvaging.
I think it may be the second on the list, but the Golden Gate Bridge is like, I think other than this forest in Japan, is like the number one place where people commit suicide.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Plus, you've also got like Alcatraz Island.
Oh yeah,
is visible.
Yeah,
it's weird. I wonder if there's like some like weird like occult like border. Like, is there? Because I know it's like Oakland and San Fran are across from each other.
Well, I was going through the TV guide today, and there was a show on, and I didn't click on it. I'm going to look it up later. And it was called Portals to Hell. And it had, like, you know...
Was this on... I forget whatever the company is that... Like, it's like the one company that does, like, history, A&E, sci-fi...
Yeah.
And then TBN was the televangelist.
Yeah.
Y'all seen Portals to Hell?
Yeah.
Benny Hinn show?
Yeah.
Y'all better watch it, get your life right.
But Portals to Hell, and it's like the toilet in Charlie O'Corley's. But it was I read the episode description, and one of them was like an old Civil War cemetery or something like that. So I guess they go to like haunted mansions, stuff like that, where something bad happened. And
I don't buy that shit. I'm not saying I don't buy like hauntings or stuff like that. Like, but was it like ghost hunters?
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
Yeah. Orbs.
Could this orb be an alien?
Yeah. Is this a gray trying to contact us?
We have not seen a werewolf personally build a bridge, but it's not impossible that you could not have an engineer of some sort.
And then they'll run their their name and like credits to give them, you know, a little bit of like they've got some weight to talk about what they're talking about.
Right.
And it's like PhD from Matilda's Esquire preparatory school.
Well, it's like what's her name? The demon semen doctor.
Yeah.
Like what? It's brilliant. It's a brilliant like 4D chess move.
Yeah.
They'll find something that somebody's saying something that is correct.
Yeah.
But they're out of their fucking mind or like controversial or something else. So they'll be like, all right, here, listen to this person talk. This is what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so they create this straw man argument, but it totally works though.
Yeah, it's like the Onion article or that Clickhole article, and it was like the worst person you know just made a good point. Heartbreaking. God damn it.
It's true though, man. It's true. Like I'll even try to like. It's a little bit easier now in 2020 because nothing makes sense.
Yeah, whatever goes.
Yeah. So
portal to hell. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, of course.
But I would think that like I've been places before where I've seen stuff. You know what I mean, like hauntings and things like that, and it's not this. There was one cat they had on some ghost hunting show. It's funny they call them hunters and they've never killed one fucking ghost.
Yeah.
The only thing they've done is they've killed like at least 22 minutes of the viewer's time. And Lord knows how many weeks to put an episode together. Plus the ad sponsors.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Do you ever see stuff out? I'm sure everybody does. Maybe not. But I was thinking the other day, and I was like, you know, the stuff you see out of the corner of your eye, like, and I guess it's classified as hallucinations.
Right.
You know, not necessarily you're watching, intently focusing on something, and you know is not there, like a leprechaun skipping across. You know, like the little green guy, Mr. Bixby or whatever on Flintstones.
Ah.
You know.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that, but just something out of the corner of your eye, and you look, and it's gone, and it's like. Are the hallucinations you see, are they mainly four-legged or two-legged? Because mine lately, the past year, have started being two-legged. And,
I wonder if that's like somehow like the brain processing it to something it can equate to in reality.
yeah.
right? So, like if you're outside a lot and like around like animals or something like that, you can attribute it to like periphery images of like a dog or something or a horse. I don't know, but aside from that irrelevant point, there was something I saw that they did an experiment where they were shooting some sort of energy, particles, atoms, whatever you want to, some sort of quantum.
The Large Hadron Collider.
Says grandma in the corner. Oh, what's that? Gerald, read me the article about the Large Hadron Collider.
That's an exhibit on docking. It's the largest docking exhibit in North America. What have you done? You madman!
In the name of science,
Scientists at CERN. What have you done?
It's funny, is some of that stuff at CERN, it looks cylindrical.
Yeah.
Like ready to dock. Anyway, but they what they were doing and what they found was that they were shooting well, just imagine like particles, right?
Okay.
And they're shooting them projectiles out at a
like a proton.
Imagine like if you had a super soaker or some video game gun that's just like pew, like shooting out some energy, right?
All
right. So as they're shooting it out, about halfway through, they've got a some sort of partition or a divider, right?
Okay.
And it's got holes in it. Not quite like a net, but I think they have a design where it's like they want holes in a certain array based on however they're shooting the particles out, right?
All right.
And then something at the far end of it as like stopping point, like a firing range, right?
Okay.
So what they found is that these atoms, that when they were being observed, they did one thing, and when they weren't being observed, they were doing something completely different.
Okay.
So, like with the idea of like periphery and like images, like I think you could tie in so many like different mythologies, and even like simulation or video game like theory with it. Okay. Because like whenever you play in a video game, it's not rendering the entire world; it's rendering what you see. Yeah. And in this little globular little lens, this round lens that sort of rounds off the edges of your periphery. Yeah. I mean, I've been. I don't know. I think I've definitely been there before, where like I've sat with something in my periphery and held my focus. Like I know like they can't see how I'm looking, but like I'm like holding my focus there to allow to see if it moves further. Yeah. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's terrifying.
Yeah. The one I remember that scared me the most, and I was a kid, so you know, you can give credence to it or not, but we were riding four-wheelers back towards this lady's house who had passed away years and years ago. The house was abandoned, it was back in the woods, and I remember when we came through and we passed the house was on the left, going back to the river or something. You know, you look at it because that was old so-and-so's home. Mm-hmm. You know, it's abandoned. You know it's abandoned. And all the doors and windows were closed. And we come back by out of there, and the door is wide open. And it's like, wasn't that, wasn't that closed? You know, you're 12, 13, whatever. Wasn't that closed? Yeah. And then feeling like there's something in the pine trees, you know, it's all planted pines next to us, like rushing through like the pine trees, and it's just like time to go.
Yeah. Man. I think there's stuff in the woods. Yeah. I don't think like I'm not an outdoorsman by any stretch of the imagination, but like where I grew up in West Virginia was off this not quite a holler, because a hollow, like Sleepy Hollow, they call them hollers. So a holler will usually be like really like there'll be a canopy, like it's heavily like deep in the mountain,
like in the valley, kind of, or like.
Now sometimes it'll be like in the mountains itself, like winding like across like a ridge. But they're comparable to like some of the more secluded dirt roads with like sand or red clay or something like that. But I mean, just different topography. But where we grew up at, like we were like pretty secluded, and like there was like heavy woods like all around us, and you would see stuff like we would see some animals that weren't real. They weren't they weren't real. That's the best way I can describe them. But like a couple of them were cats that had died, and then the cats are back and they're outside, and it's the middle of the fucking day. Yeah, it's like, this is odd. Yeah. And I mean, you could chalk it up to like, oh, it's a near identical cat. There's lots of cats in the woods and whatnot.
Son of Kiki.
Yeah. There was weird stuff on like that hillside, like the whole hillside itself. Like my dad built that house that I grew up in. It wasn't like there's a ghost here and they have some unfinished trauma they're trying to convey to us. Yeah. We should. Like it was. I don't know. There was sometimes you would be like outside and you would feel something come from the woods and stand next to you, and like there's nothing there. Yeah, but like it's that feeling of like coming up on an abandoned house. Yeah, and then all of a sudden the door is open. Yeah, and the door was closed. Yeah, and then you feel something like there's, just because we can't see, we can perceive. I mean, long fucking tangent, but I mean like. We can perceive so little of what reality is.
Yeah. Well, that's why everybody's so mad about the 5G towers. They're keeping the cryptids at bay. But yeah, if you go to an unsettled place, like a place that's out in the wilderness that hasn't been developed or whatever, even stuff for like forestry for planted pines, like nothing. Yeah, it's got its own. It's got its own world out there, and has for a long time. Yeah, forever. Since forever.
Yeah, a lot longer than we can perceive what time is. Yeah. The weirdest thing I saw, it wasn't at the house I grew up in, but it was at my aunt's house. She lived further up off there was one interstate that cut through, kind of like Valdosta. The interstate was built like on the outskirts of the town. Okay. Because of whoever was the original city planner was like we don't want the interstate coming right through. Yeah. Which in hindsight, I kind of like that idea. Yeah. Like because you don't want to fucking jump the interstate right through downtown. Yeah. It's like
Macon or Atlanta. You start getting into one side or the other. When it's over to the side, it's a totally different. It's a different ball game.
Well, it keeps. I don't know. I think it keeps the integrity of the downtown, the city, more on the city's hands. Yeah. And what I mean, they're probably more easily held accountable that way. Yeah. But fuck, how we get from ghosts to that? I want to go back to ghosts.
Yeah, there was some road going through in West Virginia that disrupted something.
No, the interstate. My aunt's, whatever road she lived off on was a few exits, north, I guess, or east from where we were. Yeah. We were like closer to like where Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia all meet. Okay. It's like a little triangle for the West Virginia part. And we were like maybe like 5 miles maybe from like where West Virginia dips down into the Ohio River.
Is that coal country?
The whole state is like coal country.
Okay, all right.
but closer to like the river valleys and whatnot. Like it's a little more accessible. But like you can start wandering through like some of those towns, and it'll be like 20 miles this way, and it'll take you an hour.
Yeah.
Just because of like how slowly you have to drive some of those like stupid windy roads where it's just there's one road from town to town. But she where she was at, she lived off on the side of this road, and they had like her house and another house, I think it was her daughter's house, were facing each other in like a gravel like sort of area, and then they had another house that was like a barn and a garage that was set up also facing inward. So they made some sort of inward-facing triangle of structures.
Yeah. All right.
So I don't know what the significance is there.
Yeah.
But I know that like the barn I never spent a lot of time in, just because my Uncle Freddie was usually down there and drunk. He was always nice, but I mean like.
He was tending to the still.
he was doing something, but it was usually just boring. You know, he was just talking shit.
That's Uncle Freddie. He's sharpening his files.
Yeah. But the house that was across the way, that was, I guess, one of her daughters, that was facing in, sometimes you would be walking by and you see people inside looking out.
Okay.
And there's nobody inside the house.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, like, it's like, that's fucking odd. Now, her house, I had been inside, and the only room in there that felt warm was the kitchen.
Okay.
Whenever you walk in, you're immediately in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then you can take a right and you go down steps, and it's like a den.
Yeah.
Or then you take a left, and it's like a den in the rest of the house.
Yeah.
But there's something in that house that was just not inviting. Like doors would just open by themselves.
Yeah.
Like stuff would get into bed with you.
Oh, that's good. Like what's the term? I can't ever remember words. These waypoints around the world.
Yeah, where like supposedly ley lines sort of like meet up and they create wormholes.
Yeah, or something like that. Or do you think? Going back to coal power. Coal is a mineral, or is coal? I'm not an expert on any of this. Supposedly oil. Is the broken down plant matter or dinosaur bone, whatever the story was. If that's some sort of weird whole, people give credence to, these stones have power. These people getting the crystal healing. Quartz does this, or emerald does that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if there is something like sacred with it.
I don't know.
I don't either. Like, I don't even know about the quartz stuff. To be honest with you, but it makes sense though that things I do believe in are that it's really easy to deceive en masse people. Yeah. Across the board.
Oh yeah.
So anytime people are like, well, how and why would somebody lie to everybody? Like,
especially back in the day, before, it's like you get a man coming through town in his little horse and buggy selling literal snake oil. It's like, he says it cures this, so it's got to do it. He wouldn't just ride up into town and say it does something it doesn't. So let's give him our nickel that we worked all month for, and let's get drunk on this. Let's get drunk on this poppy seed oil.
See what happens.
Yeah.
What could go wrong? Sell them like motor oil or something.
Yeah, and that's what's sad seeing. Like I think you mentioned on your previous show, the confirmation bias.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything that might even be on that same playing field of your of what you conceive to be right. Just you immediately, see, boom.
Yeah.
Right there in this Facebook post, and it's got 1,000 likes. 1,000 people right there agree with me.
Clearly, I'm right.
Yeah, clearly I'm correct.
Clearly, I am. But no, stuff with like the fossil fuels. I've seen I haven't dug too too deeply into it. I guess like I nerd out a lot more on like some like stuff like the old world stuff and like ideas of like I guess the Bank of Rome still like from the Renaissance, them sort of being like if they're not the top of the pyramid, they're sitting at the table at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah.
And I mean that's as broad a brush as I can make it just historically. But
well, I mean the Vatican. You know,
the Venetian Bank, the Senate of Rome, like it's just morphed into something else where it's not.
Well, when it was quote unquote, whatever, however you want to take it, the center of the civilized world, at whatever century that was. I mean, you got to think the consolidation there going on between all these villages and whatever was going on at each little village across those 400,000 square miles or however large it was, just feeding into the Rome area for a long time. It wasn't 6 months. It was generations just feeding into it, funneling into it, and blossoming out of that to the modern world, the shipping lanes, the trade from the Far East, quote unquote, the Far East. Yeah. Just everything coming across through there and them charging their 10%, their fees with everything coming in and out of that place.
Yeah, there's even a role of a postmaster, like for the world, for part of this old Venetian banking cartel. That there's something that ties in with like as well. I guess the Rothschild banks. That's the bank in London.
Yeah.
And London is like D.C., like it is its own sovereign place, independent of the country. It's the capital of.
Independent of like what was Britain, or.
Well, yeah. So I mean, think about like D.C. Like D.C. has its own government. Mm-hmm. D.C. like they're still taxed, so they still have representation at the
not the quote unquote state level, but the
Fed level, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I may be botching it up.
Yeah.
But so like this stuff, it's a game that's been set up that's older than America, right? Yeah. So like this, going back to Bank of Rome and like the shipping thing. So like our birth certificates, we're a corporation, like. In and to ourselves, like if you take your full name, like you are a corporation. So that's how you're able to have like a bank account, how you have a social security number, how you're able to be charged with a crime, like be held accountable for your debts, all of this stuff.
You're a designated legal entity.
Yeah. So it's a I'm not too big on the the sovereign citizen argument. I kind of enjoy watching the sovereign citizen owned compilations. I like those and bully owned.
Yeah, it's a good way to spend 10, 15 minutes at the end of the day.
Yeah, anytime somebody's being something, just being nasty to other people, and they're getting like their comeuppance immediately, like instant karma, I really enjoy that.
There's no. I think that's why I like revenge movies as a whole, and it can be any sort of revenge. A jilted lover.
Revenge of the Pink Panther.
Yeah, what was it? Revenge of the Nerds.
Which they got revenge again, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty wild. Most iconic thing I remember from like Revenge of the Nerds was the Bush comment.
Yeah. I just remember Booger just being everything you wanted to be, and like just he didn't give a shit. He was just nasty. Whatever, dude. I'm gonna drink my beer. I'm gonna be gross. I don't even know. Classify him as a nerd. He was just like Pigpen, You know.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He was Big Ben Upper.
Just
Maybe he was really good with like math,
Yeah.
or something, or like
Yeah.
quantum physics.
Well, they didn't show him over there with the, the pocket protector. He was just kind of a slob, you know, just a regular dude.
Didn't Devo do the song at the end? I mean,
It
I know
was-
that
yeah.
it wasn't Devo.
It may
in the
have
movie.
been a Devo song because it was a real beepy boopy with the the CR78. What do you call it? Beatmaster. Like I said, I can't remember words a lot of the times.
Oh, I'm terrible. Like, I'll meet other guitar players, and
Yeah.
they'll talk with me about like gear. And I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I know that this is a Yamaha, and I know it's
Yeah.
a knockoff of a Fender. As
Yeah.
far as any details of it,
Yeah.
no idea.
Like I sometimes like you were talking about. Say your brain is like a hotel or a storage warehouse, whatever, and you go down a hallway and there's these doors, and within each door is a room, and you got the bathroom or a closet or whatever. You got the drawers right there for your clothes.
I got one that's the opening shot from Wizard of Oz where Dorothy opens to color.
Yeah,
That's in one of the rooms.
yeah. But like the rooms for me are there. Like it's up there somewhere, but I might not be able to bring it out and say what I'm talking about. Like the other week, somebody said something about surfboards, and I was like, oh, they had a big surfboard foam shortage. One of the main manufacturers of the foam was going out of business, or somebody was retiring, whatever, and they were like one of the main foam suppliers of surfboard foam in the world. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, you didn't hear about that? And I get on my answer machine, the phone, thing that's got all the answers to the world in it, in my pocket, and I Google it. It's an article I had read in 2012, and it just came out, and I was like, yeah, 2012, big foam shortage. Don't know how they're going to recover. That's 2020. You're buying a new one. I guess they figured it out, but it was a big deal 8 years ago. You're not up to breast on that.
I got added to I'm in a couple of conspiracy discussion groups.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
But somebody added me to a QAnon one,
Okay.
and my goodness, there.
Yeah.
So,
That's a tiring one for me.
Like most things, like it's nuanced, right? So like there's stuff in there where it's like, no, this is fucking true. There is there is stuff, and there are moves that are seemingly being made to stifle people from sharing information about people that are involved or complicit with what's been happening with like that whole the pedogate stuff, and with some of the shady stuff that's been going on that Assange leaked out in those Podesta emails. It turns out to be like have a fair amount of truth to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
However, at the same time, I do not think that President Donald Trump is digging tunnels out with the Space Force to rescue kids.
Well, and it's hard. Where they lose me is on these posts, and they're screenshotting these posts wherever they're made, 4chan or whatever, Twitter account that's got 8 X's in the name, in the Matrix.
They're really straight edge.
So they've looped back around to full usage. It's a horseshoe diagram of politics.
I was thinking about that. We'll talk about that later. Yeah,
but, okay, and they start circling, okay, this post was made on March 23rd of 2020, and if you'll circle the 3 from the 23rd, and then Trump makes this gesture with his hand through his hair at 23 seconds in this speech right here, well, that means confirmed. And they'll go and circle just a word out of the whole post, and then their drawn another line, and it looks like Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where it's the funniest shit to me. He's like, Pepe Sylvia. All these envelopes and Pepe Sylvia, who it is? And,
Carol!
Carol! And Pepe Sylvia. And I broke down crying when I realized that I tied in Charlie Day's, is illiterate, when Pepe Sylvia is Pennsylvania. Pepe Sylvia. Who is he?
Oh my god, that's brilliant. I never got that.
But that's all I can see sometimes, and not to
say, yeah, man, because like somebody had shared something, and they're like, see, it's happening, and it was from a speech Trump gave in 2015 before he got elected.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man, I'm all about giving everybody their fair day and being objective with it. Yeah. But at the same time, nah, man.
Yeah.
No.
It's not. We're not day after tomorrow with Tom Cruise. We know what's going to happen here at this point in the day, and I'm throwing myself. I'm throwing myself a water bottle over there because I know I'm going to be thirsty in exactly 18 hours at this spot. It's like, that's not. Come on, man.
You know what? I think. I think a big crux of our problem currently is that we have spent 3.5 years or 4 years fueling this ourselves and encouraging divisiveness where whenever first after, and you can't say Trump hasn't changed America. He brought fucking change immediately. But for whatever it's worth, where we're at now, politically, nothing's gotten done.
No.
Nothing's gotten done. And to be frank, I've seen a lot of the president's showboats. That's fine. He's a narcissist. He's been doing that since day one. But if we want the country to progress, then we probably should have had both sides working together this whole time, and we haven't had that. Instead, you've been having this narrative, as cheesy as a term as it can be used, to pump out this divisive culture, where even the thing I had posted about on my Instagram, where it was Trump talking about you have very fine people on both sides. Yeah, and this was during that Charlottesville white supremacist
I remember that.
Protest, whatever the losers were talking about. But the full context of it was he even went further to clarify. If you watch more than just 10 seconds...
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, he reiterates, and again, there were good people on both sides. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists. They should be condemned totally. Yeah. And yet still, they'll use this as a talking point.
Oh, yeah.
To, fuel, people. And now, nobody even cares. It's so nonchalant. Yeah. What's going on in big cities. Everybody's just oh, yeah. There's just an angry mob of people in Seattle demanding that people give up their homes and, move out in the streets and whatnot. And
it's not what anyone's signed up for for the most part, and that are productive people.
No. No, and to me, it's just a big political move that they capitalize on a crisis, right? So, COVID-19, coronavirus, pandemic, whatever aside, from that, but that's a crisis that we had to deal with. So, some folks that, from what it seems, are in Democrat-run cities and in heavy Democrat-run states are purposely allowing this chaos and the state to fall in order to make the president look bad. Because if what are they going to do? Send in like the fucking troops against the state's request?
Yeah. He's got his federal marshals or whoever they are, going into what's it been, Portland?
Yeah, around the courthouse and we're rounded, putting people in fucking vans. That's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking
and
but at the same time though, like I don't know what the solution is. No. I know that whoever's the management that's in charge of these cities are inept at doing anything, man.
Even like that. So I use Twitter as it's like I don't want to say a news feed. I don't want to say I get my information from Twitter and that's where I get it, but I use it as kind of like a quick window into what's going on.
What the streets are saying.
Yeah, and you can get and it may be garbage, it may not be, depending on what's going on. But you can get a feed from someone there. And when I say a someone, the governors of these states have a Twitter feed they release, whether it's them typing it or not. Whether it's some intern, across the hall that does it, and it gets approved by a campaign person. Whether or not the governor has anything to do with it or not. But they release these things, and it's like that Gavin Newsom released something. It was like, we need, I can't remember what he said, something, we need change and we need to fix this. It's like, dude,
you're California's governor, right?
Yeah, you're the governor of the 5th largest economy in the world. Okay, it's like
they have no money.
You're the man that can affect that change, or at least maybe not by yourself, but you can have some meetings and start affecting that change today.
Yeah.
Aside from these fuckers in Congress taking a vacation.
What the fuck is that about?
The
orange idiot himself came forward.
Yeah.
His exact words were, "We've had it," and brought paperwork, even signed executive orders, like 4 of them, to get something moving. And you can't come to the fucking table together. Instead, you're going to take a vacation. Yeah. Suck my dick, dude.
These ghouls, these absolute vultures, and all they can do when they posture up and act holier than thou is, this is unconstitutional, this is illegal, this is a stretch of his powers, and it's like, well, motherfuckers, if you had your chance.
They didn't want to do it.
They didn't even.
That's the whole thing.
They didn't even come to the fucking table with anything. And if they did, they came to the table with something so far out there that they knew it would get shut down.
Yeah.
And was on purpose so that they could come to this conclusion that Trump is stepping over his boundaries, unconstitutional, and we need to go through and impeach him once again. Trump is not. He is what he is, okay? He is a game show host. He is a career commercial real estate. What do you call it? Mogul? I don't want to call him a mogul.
Gangster?
Yeah. He is not a politician. He's not a statesman. He is what he is. He's 70-something years old, and he's a narcissist. He's gotten to where he's gotten by whatever method you want to say. Oh, he got a loan from his dad when he was this old. Whatever. He got to where he got. He was a big player in the 80s, 90s, whatever.
Nobody chose what pussy they fell out of.
Right.
We all just landed here.
Right. He got there, regardless of not, he's a businessman that did, billions of dollars worth of business. He's done something, okay? Good or bad, ugly. But he's not, he doesn't play, he plays his ball game over here on the side. And all these politicians play their ball game. And he's never been in their ball game, so they hate him.
Yeah.
And the stuff with Russia was so insane to me, because it's like, okay, yeah, he's got some properties in Russia that he obviously got there by, making some deals with some Russian mob.
By being Trump, yeah.
Well, he made some deals with the Russian mob, undoubtedly. I'd put $1,000 on it right now. But does that mean that it affected his campaign? Did he not put money down in New Jersey to get the Atlantic City casino? Did he not put money down to the Teamsters and the Italian mob, or whatever mob filled the vacuum when they got rid of the Italian mob? well, to get that shit done,
Yeah.
All these people have so many skeletons in their closet. It's insane.
The awesome thing, and I mean that literally, as in like take awe
Yeah.
of what this this presidency has done, is it has shattered this. It's lifted the veil. It has shattered the two-way glass.
You're back to the Wizard of Oz. You pull the curtain back and you see the man back there with the fucking levers.
It's actually Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell's handlers.
Yeah.
It's the same puppeteer.
Yeah. Speaking of puppeteer, fucking Mitch McConnell needs to do something with that goiter hanging on his neck. Is that him with it?
I mean, I'm just saying, if I had that much money,
oh man,
I'd at least can he grow a beard?
I would look like Mr. Burns when he puts on the wax god suit.
For real though, if I live to be to see the winter of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanna look dapper.
Yeah, I want to look, shit. But
more importantly, shit, man, how long have they been in politics now?
That's what I hate when they're like, so and so is going to affect this change. So and so is Biden's going to do this. It's like Biden's been in politics for 40 years. Pelosi's been in politics for 40 years. These people do not care about you.
No,
they don't care about And pick a side. Republican, Democrat, whatever. It doesn't matter. They do not care about you. They care about enriching themselves, enriching their buddies.
And if you happen to benefit, so be it.
Yeah.
If you don't, see what we can do.
Yeah, we'll see that. Well, there's another election coming up in 6 months, and if you get me in there, I really think this time we can get some stuff done.
That's what brings me to some of these cities though, man. It's they're just dominated by these Democrats. I think that's become a DNC strategy.
Yeah.
At from the top down, and when you look at the history of the DNC, they kind of have a strong disregard for human rights. I mean, they were the fucking Confederates. They were the slave owners. Were the Democrats.
If you look at, I forget his name. So the talking about
Hubbard.
Yeah. God. Well,
General L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, I forget. Travolta, rest his soul. In the 80s, talking about Democrats and human rights, okay, so they in LA they had I want to say a sheriff or the police captain. What do you call it? See,
Chief.
The chief of police. Okay, they started with I don't want to call it the militarization of the police, but they started the more heavy-handed tactics that the police forces use today. I think L.A. was one of the first places in a major city to start that. And whether the reason, it's the same thing, whether the reasons they started doing that were good or not, the intentions, whether or not the intentions were good or not, it's blossomed out from, maybe they had a drug problem, right there from Mexico, stuff coming in. Same with Miami has a drug problem because they're a port for drug. Nothing against the people there, but that's where the highway comes through.
Yeah, it's just geographically makes sense.
Yeah. Like Constantinople, that's just where stuff comes through. And they started these heavier-handed tactics because they had some heavier-handed people to deal with.
Right.
And, they're the same, police is the same as any other industry. There are conferences, there are seminars, there are videos, there's an industry behind that. Somebody's making the helmets, there's an industry making the jackets, there's an industry making these uniforms.
Mm-hmm. Well, even more so after 9/11, where you had this this big boom in economy that pushed towards pretty much the military industrial complex. That's not when you say military-industrial complex, most people think of the United States military. It's not just that, because there's private contractors that the Department of Defense, they don't handle in-house. Sometimes you want to have plausible deniability for getting your hands dirty as a military, right?
Yeah.
But it's they had so much for the war on terror of the put into inventory, right?
Yeah.
And then it turns out that they sort of crushed the Iraqi army again, very swiftly.
Yeah.
And they still had all this gear, so they had to find a way to repurpose it. So they started repurposing it to these police departments across the country.
And it's either for free and you just have to pay the shipping, or it's such a reduced cost it may as well be free, or you've got to come get it. They may, something on it may be expired, but we don't want to throw it away. It's still technically usable.
Yeah,
it's like
because state bureaucrats will be like that with gear that's outdated.
Oh man,
where it's well, we can't keep these computers here anymore,
right?
And we don't have any place to donate them. So
this contracted in, and we got a new contract in with these guys, and this contract states this and that, and it's got to go. And okay, you're the boss.
Toodles.
And I'm not saying we don't need that. There are the simplest term imaginable. There are bad people out there, and look at Libya. After Gaddafi fell, I mean, stuff will turn around.
That's what happens when you abolish the state or abolish the police. Is you have that power vacuum, and what's going to take it? The angriest mob. Yeah, it's a barbarian horde mentality.
The angriest mob with the biggest guns.
Yeah,
or the biggest club.
Yeah,
every time, and that's how the world works, and how the world did work for a long, long, long time.
I think there's this notion, because it seems to be a something on the left where dismantling, flipping the table so the board, the board and everything, all the pieces are scattered, and then okay, now we can find a better way to do it. Like America is a young country that really worked, with the founding fathers' documents, right? That they set up as far as our Constitution and the ideology that ties into the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah,
it's the way to go. Yet you see what happened with the Chaz, and immediately they have closed borders.
They closed borders.
They're not allowed to have the news in there.
Yeah.
They're detaining people. There was one video I saw where somebody starts screaming for help, and the dude who's just bigger than him is got him pinned against a light pole or something. He's like, who's going to help you? He's like, who are you screaming help for?
Yeah.
This is what it was for 7 blocks or something.
Yeah. There's no innocent until proven guilty. Those kids that were shot. In that Jeep, and then video of the guy laughing about it. I was like, I would have shot him more, but I ran out of bullets.
Yeah.
And it's like, what were they even doing that required a life and death response like that? Not that I'm against protecting yourself, if need be.
Right.
But to go out and end another man's life. And,
these were kids. They were 17 years old.
Yeah, and to giggle about it is not. That's not good. It's
No. Point being, something I had mentioned earlier, and I got one of my scatterbrain rants. But it started off with being shown on social media images of punching Nazis, and then images of cops brutalizing people.
Yeah.
And so we start becoming desensitized to violence.
Get normalized.
Yeah. And there was one video where it was a pro-life and pro-choice protest that was going on, and there's this guy, a dude who's he's a quote-unquote male feminist, and he roundhouse kicks a girl who was on the pro-life side because she disagreed.
Yeah.
She's standing there just filming him because he's getting like a little aggressive.
Yeah.
And then roundhouse kicks her, and then I see people sharing this fucking loser in a virtuous manner on social media, just being like, well, good for him. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
He just kicked a girl, dude.
Yeah. It's
like,
not...
I'm sorry, like I'm a little sexist, dude, but like you don't roundhouse kick a fucking woman, man.
Yeah. I mean,
fuck that shit. Sorry, call me closed-minded.
That's what makes America's a pretty nice place, all things considered, compared to a lot of places in the world.
Yeah, shit, dude.
I think a lot of people, we have it so good here now because of the levels of automation in factories, and you can start talking about, well, we get all our shit from China for cheap, blah blah blah.
Well, not even that, but I mean, like the fossil fuel industry for taking agriculture to mass industry levels. So now, like, you don't have to spend your life growing your own food if you don't want to.
I don't worry about where I get food. It's at the store, and it's whatever I want, and it's on the shelf, and it reappears every day.
Yeah.
Something, we don't even have to go through anymore from October to March. It's like, well, we don't get any strawberries, don't get any fruit. We're eating. We're going to have to eat root vegetables and potatoes and meat. There's some greens. We can eat some greens, but there's no real fruit for the next 4 months, 6 months, because it doesn't grow here during this time of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, you get fruit year round.
It used to be. I think it may have been as recent as the 1960s, where like, if you lived like up north, like you didn't have oranges unless somebody went to Florida.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean,
and now like you can go to like, I don't know. Well, I shouldn't speak. I would assume though you can go to any grocer though in America and be able to find oranges.
Yeah, whatever you want. You go to the toilet and you use the bathroom and you press a lever and the waste goes away. You never see it again. Unless something's going wrong.
Right.
But that's how it goes away forever. I mean, things are so. I mean, you still got to get up every morning and you got to go to work. You got to do something. Nobody's just going to hand you a biscuit. But things are so easy now compared to my back is not broken at 36 years old because I've been hoeing and tilling a field every day, or whatever, with my fucking donkey.
Yeah.
That I'm struggling to keep him alive too.
Yeah, our life expectancy has doubled in in 100 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think for men, life expectancy is around like something like 87 or 88.
I believe it. I mean, but you lose sight of what's really important and what is still fragile. Mm-hmm. And the virus, showed us that if you've got so much of manufacturing so far away and something cuts off that road, you can be in up Shit's Creek very soon, because all this bounty, for like you're talking about with agriculture and all, depends on these diesel powered machines, these tractors.
Yeah.
These chemicals. These plants have to run with power, and all the parts for these tractors, all the parts for these plants that produce power, they're made in China. All of there's a couple of metal fabricators probably in every decent sized city that can get their lathe or their CNC machine and turn out some American made stuff.
Yeah, but what if you've got like a city of like 10 million people in it? Like your supply and demand and just tip the scales in this pandemic.
Yeah, once you cut off that supply chain, and these are finished parts. These are finished parts coming to your tractor. We're not even talking about digging up metal out of the ground and forging it and smelting it and turning it into raw aluminum or making steel and then shaping. You're talking about these industries we don't have here in this country on the scale we used to. They're still here and there.
No, since who was it? I think Clinton started opening up trade really fully with China. I think Nixon smoothed over foreign relations. With them.
Nixon opened the door, and then Clinton bulldozed down the wall and sold this country and its manufacturing. I don't want to call them secrets, but it was like, I don't want to call it the Great Leap Forward. They've had 2 Great Leap Forwards in China, but gave them manufacturing details. I guess you can call them secrets. Proprietary manufacturing methods to the Chinese for what would amount to pennies today.
Yeah, so that they could take an initial investment of the costs to like create new factories.
Yeah.
And they'd have to lay off all their workers.
Yeah.
But then they'd be able to just buy all of the products needed for even less.
Yeah.
And then they sell them for the argument is that you should then sell them for less, but that hasn't been happening.
Well, and with the NAFTA deal, all tied in together. I'm probably wrong. Whatever. You start opening up manufacturing in China. It's like, well, they're going to send us. They're going to send us their stuff. Well, they still got to pay a tariff at the port. Well, maybe not Mexico. And guess what? Due to NAFTA, now there is no tariff. There's free trade. And it comes across the border. And that was just the back door.
Yep. Alex Jones, of all people, he had a film he made probably like 15 years ago or so, but it tied in with NAFTA, and there was this toll road that was financed by a company out of Spain that started in Mexico, and they were going to be building it through Texas and all the way up into Canada. But they were going to charge Americans and Mexicans and Canadians to use their road. And none of the proceeds would go back to Americans. Yet they were going to shut down these other roads and force people to use this NAFTA highway.
Well, this week or this month, and again, Clinton was president back in '96. It's 2020. There are now more, as of this week, I believe, there are now more Chinese-owned companies on the Fortune 500 list than American companies. And that's the turnaround right there. 24 years.
Yeah.
Or 24 years.
Yeah,
24 years to turn everything upside down. China, they have bought Smithfield Farms, which is a mega farm, and Smithfield may have bought up many tiny farms and became a sort of conglomerate, a farming conglomerate, whatever you want to call it, for pigs, harvesting pigs, and pork. They're in every store. Smithfield ham, Smithfield bacon, Smithfield ribs, whatever. Smithfield pork products are in every store in America. Walmart, whatever, and a Chinese firm owns them now. That does not inspire confidence to me.
No, not particularly. What it seems like, that in Washington there has been this system that's been kind of going on since the Reagan years, and it's just sort of increased with every president since the Reagan years, where they will outsource something that is American to other countries for kickbacks, again, for themselves, their buddies, and if it trickles down to you, congratulations. But likely of it doing so is not guaranteed. I think that is kind of, like you said, Trump is outside of this game. Well, this sort of banking cartel that, well, Trump, he does business with them. You have to at a billionaire level. like just because he does business with the sheiks or princes of Saudi Arabia doesn't mean that Trump's a Wahhabi Muslim.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, whether he's a good businessman or not, he's hired some folks that are.
Right. But they had something in one of their proposals for this the coronavirus relief, this most recent one, which before they all went on vacation and whatnot.
Yeah.
Where it had in order for the bill to pass, one of their provisions that was in it was about mail-in voting, and not only about mail-in voting, but they had to any state that had voter IDs would be null and void. You couldn't have any ID associated with voting, and they wanted to remove signature verification as well.
I don't, and
this is for a coronavirus relief bill.
So if I'm very ignorant on the counter argument for voter IDs. I don't mind a voter ID to let you know that it's a legitimate vote. I don't know what the counter argument is for, that people are against voter ID laws. I don't know what the argument is.
I think it's, unless somebody has some logic that can disagree with this, I think it's balderdash. We want our elections, our votes to be accurate, 100% accurate, right? The easiest way to do that is with a unique ID. Right. Like that's how we have finances that are and financial transactions that are safe over the web. Like if it wasn't safe to do it digitally, the banking cartel wouldn't allow it.
Wouldn't do it.
Like so. This notion of mail-in vote in Paterson, New Jersey, there was like 20% of a recent election that was they couldn't verify the votes. Yeah. The head of the NAACP there said that it was a fraudulent vote and they needed to throw it out. And I don't know what's going on in Belarus, but in Belarus, somebody claimed to have won the election by 80%, like a landslide. And yet
I'm the best.
And the streets are filled with like people that I guess disagree. Yeah. Yet I mean that's still like I'm just seeing that, like that's just one city in Belarus. Granted, Belarus isn't nearly the size of like America. But like
it'd be the same if you had just an election in Valdosta that wasn't a 52-48 end result. Yeah. Half the people are going to be pissed off. No, A or B, whatever. But I just don't understand if you want a legitimate election, or at least the pretense of a legitimate election. Yeah. So you go to sleep at night. I don't live in. In the Matrix. I don't live in hell world. I don't live in the portal to hell. I don't. If there's a solid argument for it, I don't know about it. Yeah, I'm the same way. The arguments I have heard about it, it's normally people making racist arguments with where they. They're claiming to be woke SJWs, but they'll start talking about, well, actually, it's racist to have voter IDs against people of color. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, I have numerous friends that their ancestors are not from the Arctic or from Europe. Yeah. They're not white. Yeah. Like, they are completely on board with wanting elections to be secure, you know what I mean? I understand. Like, okay, you can't get a driver's license, but there's a state issued ID.
Yeah, we have them in Georgia. Yeah. There's a job I had working retail. I would see them all the time. Yeah, where people just like walk in.
Maybe you got a medical issue or something. You can't drive. I can't get you a driver's license, but you can have.
The streets aren't ready.
Yeah. That's Fast and Furious 9. Oh no, that one's real now. It's Fast and Furious 28. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
With the manufacturing.
Yes.
But I mean, if you drive it out of this country. Okay, I like this country.
I think America kicks ass. I think the world is a rotten, evil place.
It is,
and I think that our society is the best we've come up with in history that we know of.
Are there some places that have some pockets that are nice? Yes. Do people in most places, are they able to enjoy a day where they don't have to worry about food, but maybe tomorrow they do? Same with us. Yeah, but the knowledge in this country, the laws that have been written, the good ones, not the bullshit tic tac whatever. I mean, they allow you to function in a way where if you gotta get a little bit lucky, in some places. But if you do put in some work in the right ways, and you can succeed and be successful to the point where you are autonomous, not necessarily you become some crazy millionaire,
right?
But you can provide for yourself and for your family. Is it going to be every day you're waking up and having to do something? Of course. I mean, you can count on how many fingers on your hands of people that just wake up and don't do anything and do what they want and have everything they want. I mean, that's extremely rare.
Yeah, and they're usually the ones that I have met. They're like that. They're usually not very happy people.
Yeah,
because they haven't had the struggle. And whenever you don't have a little bit of struggle, you don't appreciate the bounty.
It's like the old Promise lyric, which I'll butcher, is weekends don't mean quite so much when you're unemployed, except you get to see your working friends.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why everybody's dealt with sickness in their life. That's what makes being healthy feel so good. When you can sit down and you don't have an ache or a pain, and your body just feels good, it's like that feels nice.
Oh yeah.
If you've been, I had a couple surgeries that kind of slowed me down, but just being able to get up from like a sitting position, I'm lightweight enough where I can do what I guess would be called a dip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I could push myself up off the chair to stand up, or I could pull myself up. But if I was older or broke down, or too heavy or too weak, not able to pull myself up, like I would have been, immobile.
Right.
So, being able to that gave me a lot of drive to stay, all right, in my head now until I die. I'm gonna remember that. It's like I do not ever need to be in a spot where I'm not physically able to pull myself up or push myself up off the ground.
Right.
Unless I'm old and feeble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's coming one day. Assuming I don't hit a tree.
Right.
Falling asleep in the truck. I don't know where I'm going with that, but
well, to hell if you don't change your ways.
Yeah.
But
they're having a drive, having a goal, having some struggle. There's something in the lizard part of your brain where, like you talk about, I don't have to spend all day, making, growing crops or going out and hunting a deer to make sure I eat, or snaring a rabbit or something like that. So not having a goal, or not having something to strive for, I think fucks your brain up. Because I think from a evolutionary standpoint or whatever, however we were wired from whatever year, however you want to think about it, every day you got to have a little something to keep your brain right.
Yeah. Well, our body, I mean, granted, I'm out of shape, but nowhere near what I was like previously. But I mean, aside from that, our bodies like struggle.
Yeah.
So even with me, since this COVID stuff happened and whatnot, I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. Because whenever it started happening, that's one of the things I saw was that I guess what would you call it? Psychosomatic, or it's just my head, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I would feel like all the damage, like with every breath, and like waking up from like now spending like over a decade like smoking cigarettes. And while I'm not off nicotine yet, like I've got my little vape guys and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like it's a big thing to. Drugs are a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because it's like a friend, and you have to say goodbye to it like a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And tobacco is like that.
Nicotine is one of the. I never got, addicted to cigarettes or dip, but from the people I've seen that are older, and when I say older, 50, 60, even 70-year-old folks trying to kick a nicotine habit. I mean, just watching them. I mean, it is a struggle, and these are strong people.
Yeah.
I mean, good folks. They're not weak-minded people that are just succumbing to a voice in their head. I mean,
right.
you know what I mean? It's a struggle to come off that nicotine.
It's a motherfucker, dude. Probably only speed, I'd say, is like Adderall is the only thing that was ever more difficult. But I mean, like I said, I'm still on nicotine, but like I'm not on cigarettes though, dude.
Yeah.
And just making that like bit of a change like feels good. But I mean, even like with having goals and doing something, like even though like most people, like I'm sort of like stuck at home. Like I'm a homebody anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fine, but it's a little maddening at times. You know. But like I have to give myself something to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't just like I mean, fuck man, I don't want to just do the same thing every day. I'm not gonna watch fucking like Netflix or anything.
Yeah.
Like that's just I don't enjoy that. If I'm gonna sit in front of a screen, I want to be building something. I want to work for something. You know what I mean?
You're active with the screen.
Yeah, in some way. And like I rarely even game anymore, just because I'm like, well, shit, man. Like I could be spending this time and like making like a drum beat instead.
Yeah, being creative, producing something. I mean,
like that drives me, and that's why I think it's been like so hard for a lot of people with 2020 is their purpose or means of production was. I don't want to say they put all their eggs in one basket and assume or anything, but I mean, fuck it. We'll generalize and say they did. Now, their purpose has been restricted by the government, science, Big Brother, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
All these actors, making these YouTube channels and stuff, like they don't know. It's like they don't know what to do with themselves, and that's a bit, that's something that's going on with everybody. That, it's not just them, but that's their way of dealing with it, and that's a visible way for me to see how people are dealing with it. Like they're trying to, I got to put myself out there as some sort of, they were probably in high school. They did the plays, the theater club or whatever. They like doing that, and that was their thing. Yeah. And so now these YouTube videos are their way of putting themselves out there, and that's how they're.
Well, especially at a celebrity level, because. Social media, in a way, it's like it's a little window into everybody being a celebrity. Yeah,
Yeah. And my feed. Yeah. My story. My whatever.
Don't come on my page.
Yeah.
I'll block you.
My MySpace background music is.
Man, that's what kept me from coming to Facebook for the longest time. I was like, what do you mean I can't do HTML? I can't. Well, I can't put a song on my page.
Wait, so what about all my blinky stars behind?
All the fucking gifts.
Yeah, all my shit. I want to look like space on my page. It's all white and blue. Yeah,
it's kind of lame.
Yeah,
and it's funny and like
Tom was the smartest one of all. MySpace Tom.
He sold to Rupert Murdoch.
What
got me off of MySpace is because then it just became nothing but ads. For like everything.
Yeah.
So, I remember I logged in and it was like how many hot new bands are there, man? How many? How many like Marvel like comic book characters are there? Because like there's so many apparently that like they're, and then you have fanfic that I guess like some of it will get authorized and brought into canon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's how the Twilight series started, if I'm not mistaken. It was a fanfic of Harry Potter or something like that?
Was it really?
I think, maybe started off like that on fanfic.com or whatever, whatever it is. And then I want to say there was a fanfic of that, and that blossomed into some other series that we all have to suffer through now.
CNN.
Yeah. I mean, if I wanted to read fanfics, it's going to be about, like, fucking Mario and Luigi, okay?
I never, like... And maybe it shows, like, at standardized testing when I was younger with, like, reading comprehension of, like, fiction.
Yeah.
Like, I fucking hated it. Like, I didn't do well with it.
Okay.
I guess maybe because I'm more of like an auditory and visual, like hands-on learner. Like I learned that way. But like nonfiction stuff, I could understand.
Yeah.
Like it, I took more of an interest to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about like dedicating my time to reading lies.
Yeah.
In a novel, like I don't know, I would just rather do something.
Yeah.
And as far as like taking in information, shit, man. I mean, YouTube is awesome because I can put headphones on.
Yeah.
And like work and Spotify same way, man. Spotify's got podcasts now.
Yeah, I can do something else.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not totally wasting my time.
That's my thing. It's like. Maybe I'm thinking about it now more in 2020 and after like my grandma being dead and whatnot about like time's fucking like so precious.
Yeah.
It's our greatest commodity.
Yeah.
You know, we don't really realize it.
Yeah, it's the most valuable thing there is.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only way to beat time is to get out of time.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to die.
Yeah. It's like you like playing guitar. You only have so much time to learn playing guitar, then master guitar in whatever style you pick.
Yeah.
Whatever suits you. It's like you're not. I don't want to say, you can't master. Go and master the piano and then master. Maybe you can. A person can.
Right.
But there's only so much time in a normal person's day. Like I'm not talking about. The mythical person we were talking about earlier that can devote all their time to one thing a day. They don't have to worry about going to work. They don't have to worry about bills. They don't have to worry. They can sit in a room and do whatever they want and play their instrument, whatever.
Right.
They can master. Normal people have 2 hours to 4 hours a day. They can really dedicate to what they like before they have to go back into the real world and either keep up their house or work to pay a bill or take care of a family member or whatever.
Yeah.
Pick something. There's only so much time.
Yeah. I think that's what initially attracted me to speed and Adderall because like whenever I first had it, like I knew that's what it was for because there would, I would have friends that were in college.
Yes.
And like they would take it and they would like here, try one. Yeah, and I'd be like, holy shit, I can understand why you can write a paper on this.
Yes.
Like,
oh, yeah. Not that I would know, but the amount of information you can take in and understand and remember and draw from and, not regurgitate, but actually use, like, amps up.
Yeah. It's weird. The amphetamine causes your body to go into a fight or flight response at a constant rate. So you're calm, but your body's in fight or flight mode. So you don't have, I guess, the adrenaline rush. Okay. You know what I mean? Like that's what adrenaline makes me shake. Like I get scared so fucking
you don't have
easily.
the crash.
But so what it does, it draws blood away from all your non-vital organs. So your stomach, your junk, your genitals. You know what I mean? Like draws and it pumps it to like more so like your limbs. Yeah. So you can, and I would assume like your eyes and like your lungs where you can breathe in more. But at the same time, what I found, I was on speed for like 6 or 7 years, like abusing it. Is that you don't care about other people or anything really whenever you're on speed. You only care about the task at hand, and the task at hand can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
So if it comes to like retaining information that way, like you're not committing it to your short-term memory, it's going like directly into your long-term
logging
memory.
in.
Yeah. I mean, I made after I lost the the house in Jersey to the fire and whatnot. Like that's why I started painting so much, because I lost like almost all the art that I had ever made, and I used Adderall as a way to just like make the productivity just like
little helper.
Oh yeah, but then then started losing teeth and whatnot. And,
well, if you're grinding or you're not taking care of yourself,
I was a miserable wreck. I hated myself. I wasn't treating myself or others well. It was just fucking bad news. Like it's a bad drug.
Yeah,
like it just really is. Caffeine, on the other hand, this I think is my 4th cup of coffee today.
Yeah.
Like, God bless it. Greatest drug that's ever been invented. Yeah. Hands down, caffeine.
It's a good little drug. It gets you just enough. And then if you do too much, or for me, you get too jittery and don't enjoy it. So it kind of even tells you to scale back. Mm-hmm. So it's like, too much.
It's it does stimulate your short-term memory. Tobacco does as well. But they're a really good combo. Is coffee and tobacco. Mm-hmm. But what were we talking about earlier? We were mentioning something earlier about like China and manufacturing that going to bring up. Oh, the dam.
Yeah, that's Three Gorges Dam.
Yeah,
yeah. Is it collapsed yet? If it has collapsed, would they even release that information to us? You know what I mean? They're so tight with any sort of negative news that would make the state look bad over there. I would be surprised if it did collapse that somebody wouldn't hear about it for months. Satellite photos would probably have to leak out, to know that they were gone.
The Three Gorges Dam. It's on the Yangtze River. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's pronounced. Yeah. I don't speak Chinese, Mandarin, and any of the dialects. But there's I don't know too much about it. Either you or Biscuit had sent me a thread on it from Twitter, because I'm not on Twitter.
Yeah.
All my Twitter news I get is secondhand.
Yeah.
Which is probably good, because I don't want to be in the cesspool of Twitter.
It's for funny little one-liner jokes and a little snapshot of what's going on, and that's it. Like it's a one-way street. There's no interacting with it. You kind of look at it. It's like someone throws you some Polaroids, and you look at the Polaroids, and then you throw them in the trash, and you go about your day. You do not dwell on it.
I didn't know that's how you treat Polaroids.
Yeah. Well, it's like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible 2, and they give him some Oakley M-frame glass, and they tell him a thing, and they explode off his face.
Was that the one he had Limp Bizkit did the theme song for?
Limp Bizkit and Metallica, baby. They were both on there. And the Limp Bizkit song was much better than the Metallica song.
It really was. I Disappear.
Yeah.
I think that was the Metallica song. Not a good Metallica song.
That was a shining moment for music and entertainment industry.
That Metallica song is comparable to the Three Gorges Dam in China. It's not. It does not hold up well.
Man, that movie was something.
I never even saw the movie.
It was.
I liked Metallica and Limp Bizkit.
But man, that movie, it's bad. John Woo.
He's the Twister guy. I remember seeing Twister in a theater at like a surround sound and like a.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense. It was cool.
That's when surround sound was newer. They were starting to figure out like
there was one theater I remember that didn't have it because we went back to see it because it was then going to be at another theater in Huntington, the city I grew up in, West Virginia.
Uh-huh.
They had like I don't know how it is downtown now, but in the 90s they had like 3 or 4 theaters downtown, and the theaters one of them, the big one, was the Keith Albee Theater.
Okay.
And you would walk in, it was like this like really ornate old almost 19th century style theater.
Yeah.
And in the main room, sometimes it would be for a movie, other times it would be for a play, sometimes it would be for concerts. Back in they got a civic center, but before then it was the Keith Albee Theater. So like my dad saw, I think it was Alice Cooper, like at this like old theater or whatnot.
Hell yeah!
But it was cool. Like they had like an actual compete. Maybe they were all fronts like lawn like mattress stores are in other cities.
Yeah.
But fuck, lost my train of thought. But yeah, Twister. Oh, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, we saw it a second time in one that didn't have surround sound, and it was just like it's just like watching Twister.
Yeah, it's definitely a movie. Well, I remember when it came out I remember one of the talking points was like the sound was so incredible because like
where do you get your beef from? Oh, did you see my gouge out front? No.
Yeah, a ceiling tile fell out and like injured a woman, like. I guess because the bass rattling, so, whatever.
That is a theater experience.
Yeah. True Lies was on today. It was like the ending sequence with the Harrier jet, and the bad guy, lands on the tail of the jet and bonks his nuts and like looks at the camera and like, oh. And like the jet pulls up to like there's a guy in the 23rd floor of the skyscraper. For some reason, the terrorists have taken over this floor. They've rented out the office space, and the terrorist guy, he's a terrorist because he's wearing the fucking the head wrap stuff because it's the desert in New York wherever they're at, and they've got to keep the sun off their head. So he's got these binoculars, and as he's scanning the horizon for God knows what. Here comes Schwarzenegger in the fucking Harrier jet, and the guy pulls down his binoculars, and it cuts to Schwarzenegger and his little grin, and the terrorist goes, "Brrr." I mean, it's just
what's crazy about for those who don't know or are listening. This is a documentary.
Yeah, it was filmed in real time.
What's crazy is like they had the cinematography in it that they were able to capture in real time. It's kind of like you think Planet Earth is impressive.
Yeah. Then the bad guy after he bonks his nuts on the tail of the plane, he's fighting Arnold. Arnold's hanging on to his daughter, piloting the Harrier jet up under a crane, construction crane, fighting off the terrorist who's on his back with like an 8-inch knife, punches him off of it, looks at his kid, winks at her, does a half barrel roll, so the terrorist guy falls off. I guarantee you they wanted to give him a wedgie. He gets caught on the Sidewinder missile.
It's like Arnold's idea. He's like,
what if we just give him a wedgie? No, it would be really good. But he gets caught on the Sidewinder missile, and he's hanging there, and I don't know if it's like by the strap of his rifle, but I guarantee you they wanted him to hang by his underwear and have like a big drum go boom with it all across his eyes. Then he shoots. It's just insane. It's one of the greatest movies.
There's one. Is it The Eraser? Where he like fights a CGI crocodile?
Oh, only thing I remember about the Eraser is dual wielding these rail guns that can have X-ray vision through walls, and he's dual wielding them, and he's in some industrial complex, and he's shooting people up on these these landings up on the third story, just firing from the hip.
I think the best Schwarzenegger movie was probably Last Action Hero, because it was a movie about Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And most of his movies have the same sort of format as Last Action Hero,
Yeah.
if you remove set and setting,
Yeah, his movies they're great, but they're definitely also bad.
Oh, they're terrible.
But they're
lovable, though.
They're I don't know what you call a guilty pleasure of mine, but I love. I'll watch all of them. Commando. It's like my daughter stole. Let me go to my shed where I brought some stuff home from the Iran-Contra affair. He's got the classic photo of him with some vehicle-mounted rocket launcher that he carries around on his shoulder.
He was a beast, man.
Yeah. They said he had like a 26, 28-inch waist when he was, the height of his bodybuilding stuff. Maybe, another friend of ours could comment on some of that stuff more than us. But just a freak of nature that took advantage of his genetics.
He was the governor of fucking California too.
It's insane.
Was Newsom who replaced?
Oh, maybe
him.
Between Jesse Ventura and Minnesota.
Jesse Ventura was running this year. I would probably vote Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, he's definitely a no bullshit, guy. And
did you ever see whenever he did his debate on public access against the other two candidates, and they gave their remarks, or he gave his first? I don't know which happened first, but. He was like, well, first of all, he's like, you're not gonna have any super PAC money from me. He's like, all my money is campaign from individuals.
Yeah,
like he set that fucking trend off, and he won. He didn't win by a landslide, but he won.
Yeah,
and like him or dislike him, like Jesse the Body Ventura, was it Minnesota? I think
yes, it was Minnesota.
He kept Minnesota in a much better state than what it has been since he has left.
Well, I think there's something about guys like that, or politicians, that when it's again, agree with them, disagree, or they've got a policy you like here and a policy you really dislike there. If they can come across as a genuine, and you can feel that they're being genuine about their beliefs, it's such a odd feeling and a breath of fresh air that you kind of latch onto them.
Yeah,
it's like, at least he's not beholding to these groups.
Yeah,
to these
exactly
to these lobbyists.
Yeah, not towing the company line like. You toe the company line when you're clocked in. When you're you're in, the company that I work for, whatever they need me to do, absolutely.
Whatever facilitates the running of this. Yeah, because at the end of the day, there are people that depend on this place to pay their car payments, pay their rent, pay their electricity bill. They've got children they want to feed. They got a life they want to live and make through, same as me. And I'm not going to intentionally do anything to undermine that.
In the slightest.
Yeah.
What do you need me to do?
Yeah.
Hope if I can't help you, I'm going to put you in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm a politician, my constituents should be the people. And I want a politician that's going to say, hey, I'm not going to toe this company line bullshit.
Yeah.
We want change.
Yeah.
Like, there's another thing, to his credit, Trump talked about not having it centralized in government, but it would be any drug prices. We get charged the same way as foreign countries did, and people want to talk about, well, why is our medicine so expensive?
Yeah.
That's a reason why, is because there's a loophole in the law.
Yeah.
So he was making this talk in, I think, Cleveland, and he said that, well, I figured we got one shot to actually do something, and it makes sense because if he is going to be a one-term president, and he does want history, present time is not favorable to Donald Trump. No. And it probably shouldn't be in its own regard, But history, the long term, is sort of what I find more interesting personally. And it would make more sense if it's only 4 years to not only hold off on doing this, because this is the kind of stuff that, I mean, Kennedy lost his head because he tried to challenge the Federal Reserve, and then he sort of lost the mafia's protection, and you know what I mean. And
he lost the intelligence agencies.
Oh yeah, because he wanted to abolish them.
Yeah. Well, the CIA was like,
different idea, Jack.
Yeah.
Boo, Lyndon, you're up to bat.
Oh yeah.
We're going to sign that right away. What do you guys need?
I want to say that's what again, not the biggest fan, but like with and of course things have obviously changed since the beginning of this election cycle. But Bernie came across as another type of genuine type of, whether you agree with him or not, he's been saying the same thing for 40 years and living what he was talking about. He was at these little protests back then, much smaller, this and that. Whether he got anything passed or not, whether he was effective at making a change, can obviously be argued. But he was honest in what he believed, and at again at the forefront of both of the primary runs to become the DNC candidate. That the line he was towing was not the company line. Did he eventually fall right into it? And put on his Hawaiian shirt and dance around in a hula skirt? Hell yeah, he did.
Twice.
And who could have seen it coming the second time?
Gee whiz.
Yeah. Wonder where all that money went that he raised.
Yeah.
Wonder where all these $2 donations from these people that should not be donating to politicians. Or the $20. What was it? The line, $18 average donation.
I think the minimum in 2016, I think, was like $5 or $15 for Bernie.
Yeah.
I donated $50. If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But I gave money to Bernie. And I definitely did not give money to Bernie a second time after he then. I realized it was one thing that sort of finally made me click and just be like, fuck this. Was when he was endorsing like Clinton, and he was like we must join up with her. I'm like, you lost your fucking mind, bro. Like you're supposed to be a fucking populist. Like you're the populist on the left. You have like the progressive ideals, and what it seems to be. I forget what his name was. It was somebody that wrote something in response to Saul Alinsky's radicalism notions. And he talked about ideological subversion being slow in the West, but inevitable, where you would have an entire generation think that ideas that have brought destruction and failure to so many lives in the Eastern Hemisphere, like Marxism and authoritarian communism and Maoist communism, and anytime when you let the ideologues take over.
I mean, people talk about the corporations, this and that, and there's problems there, obviously, with especially after the Supreme Court ruled a few years ago. During the Obama administration, if I'm not wrong, that corporations were people.
In 1978, they ruled. This is during the Carter administration. The Supreme Court ruled that to limit funding from a corporation to a political campaign would be a suppression of their First Amendment right.
Yeah.
And there may have been more legislation since then, but I know that was like sort of the crux that sort of got this banking cartel and foreign intelligence and that we sort of find ourselves in now, the swamp, as Trump calls it. But it's stuff that like Ed Snowden and Julian Assange released, and they talk about where, of course, the government's collecting data, but whilst they may be destroying it, whenever it gets to a certain point, they're outsourcing it to these private companies. Yeah. And one of them was a company that John Brennan, the former guy at the CIA, he was like the top guy at one of these companies that was sort of piggybacking all of our data that we've been putting on social media for 10 years. Yeah. And the NSA was collecting that they were getting rid of at their level, but it was going elsewhere. Yeah. And they ruled it as, it's a hack. Yeah. Well, so then they would just switch companies to another company that would take over the investigation.
Like the fake Viagra pills at the gas station.
Yeah.
You just change the name. Yeah. But so, I don't trust the government.
Nor should you.
And anybody that does, I don't know what to say to you. I also don't trust the billion-dollar corporations like you got Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Amazon Web Services is a huge backbone, same with Google and its servers, huge backbone of the internet as we know it today. It's like the interstate. If me and you are going to drive up to Philadelphia, we're going to hop on the interstate, and the interstate is owned by Amazon Web Services, AWS. If you look at a lot of these, pathways from your house to some website is probably going on some .aws, and that's where Amazon makes a good chunk of money. And I think it was this year. This year's so screwed up. I don't, whatever. It may have been last year. Amazon, could have been before, I don't know. Amazon signed a deal with the CIA, some partnership, to use their web services business. So if you don't think that the CIA is not there, like grabbing this data as it comes through, or that these governments or these intelligence agencies or whatever's going on aren't using these private companies, these big ones, as little fingers or arms of this system that's bad. I mean, that is definitely happening under the pretense of private industry. Yeah, like go back like Eisenhower started the notion of the military-industrial complex, and to be careful because it can, and it will, and it has spiraled out into what it is now.
Well, now you have notions of globalism, which like I find to be just it's a bad ideology. I find, and the notion of we do live in a prison, right? Yeah. We do. In a perfect world, it would be great to have the notion of like a world without borders.
Yeah, it'd be in a perfect world. It would be if I'm going to tote my own water, and I know you're going to tote yours, and then I know this guy over here is not going to come and steal our waters, and at the same time poison our well, and whatever, if there were no bad actors.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. That's not the way reality is. And there's the pro side of order is that it quells chaos. Yeah. Even if it's just the illusion of it, as some, I guess, nihilist who just discovered who Nietzsche is or something would say that it's an illusion. Well, It may be an illusion, but guess what? This illusion of order keeps order. It keeps things orderly. It's kept us from killing ourselves.
It's a machine, but it's a machine that runs and allows, at least in America, and again, you can debate every word of every, it at least gives you the right to a fair trial. At least it gives you the right to innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. Which is something really important.
Yeah.
You don't want mob rule.
No.
Like, that's fucking scary. That's what I'm seeing, bro, in these fucking,
autonomous zones and shit.
Well, these cities that are just, like, run amok, like Seattle and Portland, where it's just lawlessness. It is the mob rule.
Yeah.
And even in they had something in Louisville, which, granted, there's some shady shit in Louisville. That's the Breonna Taylor, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
Her police department has to answer for her murder still.
Yeah.
There was something where the mayor walked in. It was some conference or some of the police officers, and the mayor walked in.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, the mayor still has not charged these officers with any crime. And you see about 90% of the officers get up and walk out of the conference just because the mayor is there. Yeah. So, like, there's some bad shit that's going on.
Yeah.
There was, Tim Pool had a video about it where there was a business owner, I believe he was Cuban, who had a restaurant, and the local group under the banner of BLM said that he owed money for them and for their organizations that he could choose instead to donate to one of their charities of choice, and that he had to hire specific people based on specific ethnicities.
Like the old mob shit?
Like
we'll
this...
protect your...
Like, it's a Marxist mob using racist ideology under the guise of BLM.
Yeah.
And he told them no. Yeah. And, like, most of the neighborhood was just telling them, okay, yeah, sure. And he told them no. So they, like, smashed something of his, like a potted plant. And so the neighborhood then showed up to his restaurant and stood out and, like, guarded it.
Yeah.
Like people don't want to see somebody toe the fucking company line.
Yeah.
They want to see a leader, somebody that stands out.
Yeah.
Like it's really comforting to see somebody who's flawed and yet is still they're trying to pursue something that's good and righteous, and the truth whenever you hear it. And the mob is not concerned about truth. The mob is it's a predator. Right,
yeah.
Like it's like a shark in the ocean,
and that's the problem with the one of the problems of all this social media, the Twitter and the Facebook, is these snippets get posted with no context, no background, and these people latch on, and if it's any sort of confirmation bias, you just grab a hold of it like a fucking tick, and we'll ride it until it fucking falls apart. And they can't go. I'll say they can't, but they're
highly reluctant.
They're not going to go back on what they said because then they're wrong, and nobody likes to be wrong. And
it is problematic though with it as well. Though, well, I mean, it definitely doesn't fucking help.
Yeah.
Whenever you've got what was his name? Zach Voorhees. He was like a Google AI software engineer or something like that. He became a whistleblower about algorithms, and Google has a black book where the search results will target first the black book, and it'll target conditionals then.
Yeah.
If anything comes up in the black book, then it displays what Google wants you to see first.
Yep.
And as it turns out, a lot of it had like DNC, like was in favorable light, and
it just got leaked this past month. Twitter's doing the same shit.
Yeah, absolutely. There was something with which again, I'm not a fan of the president's rhetoric, but I like that. I know that's the president tweeting those words.
Yeah.
And I think the president should have a Twitter. We want the president to be able to bypass all the bullshit media for, if nothing else, than 128 characters or however many it is now to like speak directly to the people. There is something comforting in that madness. But they have been doing the same thing. There's stuff that was tied with research. CNN had something about hydroxychloroquine being working. Yeah. And then if there was anything that was either pro-Trump or a conservative that posted about it and it gained traction, they got hit with like a false news fact check or whatnot. Yeah. And they've also been the fact checkers. They'll take an article and they'll take the opinion. Yeah. And they will fact check on the opinion. Yeah. Not on the statements, but they'll be like, well, this is not true because it was something about Kamala Harris's ancestors owning slaves. Okay. And the fact check was false. Yeah. Now, the reason it was false was not because her family didn't own slaves. It did, but it was because it was actually not I forget the terminology they used, but it was like a blight on her political career or something. So they took the opinion piece of the article and did a fact check on whether or not her family owned slaves. But that's the headline, though, is that this is false. Yeah. Go about your day.
It's like, I remember when early in the primaries, and it was Bernie said that Americans owe 14 billion, or there's 14% of people are about to go bankrupt. It's actually 13.8. Bernie, we rate this 4 Pinocchios on Bernie. And it's like, are you fucking... You know what I mean?
Well, those are two completely different numbers.
Yeah. It was something in that same vein, and it's disheartening that these media types they have an axe to grind, and
that's not getting done because this type of, dare I say, manipulation, it works. Like, it's effective. Mm-hmm. Like, going back again to like the QAnon conspiracy stuff where people would share stuff where it's like, hey man, you guys are all sharing this and thumbs upping it, and this is a Babylon Bee article, right? Yes, it's satirical. Yes, okay, yeah. And so people, and I know that satire is not what necessarily you and I are discussing in this reference, but it's that same type of mindset of meme culture, where you don't need to really dig deeper. You just see the repetition of something shorthanded enough that, that's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened.
And talking about, say, Trump with his Twitter, and it's him tweeting that from the toilet at 6 a.m. It's him. Contrast that to what is already happening, has probably happened in the public, but what is going to be happening at some point are the deep fakes that are so true to life. You're not going to know. Any informed person is going to have some skepticism about, is this talking head, is he actually saying that, or is he actually even there right now?
That's the real question. Are they even there?
That's the scariest thing to me. The one video I sent to you of it was a video of Trump at a rally or convention or something from some time ago. It was a previous convention. It was a shot, and his face was manipulated to have this sound bite, and his voice, it was an AI generated voice, because these were words in a string in a cadence that flowed like a normal conversation. It wasn't like the Homer Simpson, gummy bear Venus on the girl's butt. Sweet can. It was not that. It was a regular cadence that matched Trump's voice, and it was something he would never, ever say in a billion years. And I sat there and looked at it and watched it and listened to it, 20 times. and there was nothing there to make you think there was anything other than a live recorded video. And to know what, and that's just something some guy made at his house, or him and his buddies made at his house. You know, that's not to say what these governmental agencies or these businesses, and that's what they do. You know, Industrial Light Magic. Who knows what they have?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there was something. I could be wrong, but I believe it was in December at the end of the Obama administration. I'm not sure if it was the first or the second time around, where he made it legal to was it propagate or propagandize, whatever the verb is, American citizens. So while Mockingbird Media had been going on for like quite a while, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a 21st century sort of move where they were just sort of like the Patriot Act was, where it's like, okay, well, first we need the way to get the information.
Yeah.
Then we need a way to detain people that may stop us from getting this information. And like it's just slow building blocks. Even Trump is like there's stuff going on while all of this pandemic crisis is going on that is about like AI and trying to get a new, pretty much what China has, but something more advanced than what China has in order to compete with them at the end of the 21st and into the 22nd century.
It's very scary because it's just like the robocalls you get on your phone. I'm sure everybody gets them like I do.
Dude, I got a text not too long ago about from some number from some part of the country that I have like one person that's there. You know what I mean? And it was not them. Yeah. That was like, hey, I'm going to be in the area pretty soon. I'd love to hang out. Why don't we get together and we can do whatever? I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Like,
whether
who's on the other end of this shit?
Whether it's somebody calling about your car warranty running out, or whether it's somebody calling. We got one the other day. It was his robot voice. We have canceled your social security number. Call this phone now to get it resolved. I got another one. This is a federal agent regarding your case. You need to call me immediately. If I'm a 75-year-old man with cognitive decline, like every 70-year-old person in the world, and if I'm in the throes of early dementia. And I'm not talking about Joe Biden. If I'm them and I get that call, these older people are they're getting hoodwinked by these folks. They're sending them checks. They're sending them their Social Security money. What are they going to do when they start seeing these videos that look and sound as real as they can be? Yeah, and
they're going to believe it.
I mean. We grew up in a time where there was no real CGI, and the start of CGI at the Dire Straits music video. Okay,
money for nothing.
Yeah. Okay, and you got that.
You've got I forget which. It wasn't Apollo 11, but I think maybe it was 16.
Yeah.
But they have footage from it where. Either they said they timed it, which means they left a remote control camera on the moon, but they're on the surface of the moon, and they blast off the lunar module or whatnot to meet back up with the command module that's in orbit around the moon, and you see it sort of like zoom out, and then you see these sparks fly out that are. It kind of looks like Technicolor sponsored the sparks, but they're like red, blue, and green tinted, like light, and they fly out from the lunar module as it blasts off, and then the camera pans up. Now, the delay of signal from the supposed 933.7 937,000 miles that the moon is away from. And they managed to get the shot just right, panning up with the CGI sparks coming up from it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would say, the Dire Straits.
Yeah. But or like, it may have been like the superimposed stuff, like the old Ghostbusters effects. They're all practical effects, and they're superimposed onto it, like when the ghosts are flying through the city or whatever.
Right.
But we've seen the evolution of the CGI, and I would think most of folks our age can determine if, that's what's that, the North Pole movie with Tom Hanks.
Polar Express.
Yeah, it's like, all right, they're getting more real with that, or Shrek, or what was it, the Lawnmower Man or whatever.
Well, now I don't really go to the movies, but I know they've remade the Lion King and they call it the live action Lion King. It's like, well, that's CGI. The whole thing is CGI.
Yeah,
they're calling it live action.
Yeah, the Life of Pi or whatever it was with the tiger on the boat.
I've never seen it. I know what you're talking about.
Incredible CGI, like where there's when you're talking about modeling the physics of individual hairs on the animal's body, the same as the Lion King.
Yeah.
The live action, quote unquote, Lion King movie.
Yeah. It's a. I think on the long run, it's a way that you can kind of the same way with like desensitize people to violence. You can desensitize people to CGI to where now that's what you're putting out. Now you're calling it live action.
Yeah.
Because if they tried to do the same, if they put out the moon footage from anything under the Apollo program out today, nobody would believe that.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody would believe that. And I think that's one reason why people don't want to look into it is because it's like opening that Santa Claus wound all over again.
Yeah.
As soon as you start digging. But, like the deepfake stuff, man, like I would not be surprised if not only they can do it CGI, right? But if they don't have like for lack of a better term, robots. Like these like clone things that they can like operate remotely.
Yeah, I think they could do it on the fly. Like if you have something just sitting there talking, whether it's you or me with a mask on, and then I've got the little white dots for the motion capture on my face, and it can immediately look at all these like fucking Snapchat with these face filters, and all the millions of people that have Snapchat, and you look at it and you put on the little dog filter, you're like, oh, my puppy dog, look at me, I've got eyes, and when I open my mouth the tongue pops out, and or whatever, I'm a kitty cat with ears. All these millions of people that have it, and the millions of hours of data these facial recognition companies now have on not only just from a sense of all of us, but just raw data, how their computers and machines can interpret this data and create a deep fake. Once you get enough lighting on, if you're a public speaker, if you're a president or a politician, you've got X amount of hours totaled up on your career life of talking in public by some sort of camera, a good camera, a poor quality camera, an iPhone. You've got all sorts of lighting, all sorts of backdrops, and you can, in my mind, with the amount of technology that's out now, the data, you can create something on the fly however you want. And it's only going to get easier and easier to make a more realistic.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
well, if you think about it, we keep supplying more and more of it, right? Like constantly.
Oh yeah.
So in order to do that, they've had to come up with like quantum computing and quantum computer chips, which that's just fucking wild.
Yeah.
But like NASA and Google own one jointly together, and then I think the government and at USC. Owns another one of like quantum computers, but it's because we're constantly sending more data than is able to process. So if you think about logistically, developing AI was almost a necessity in order to computate that much information at once.
Yeah.
But again, it's got to be stored somewhere. So, like, you can look at some videos now where they're not even real people. Like, it'll be a filter or a personality or something where it's a person that doesn't exist.
It's a merging or the word amalgamation or whatever of 70 or 70,000 different people, and we combined them to make. It's like, or like it goes back as like, this is what somebody from this part of the world would look like, and we did it by combining the faces of these.
They're gonna do that, I bet, so that they can preview how your offspring will look.
Yeah,
like as like some sort of like eugenicist sort of.
Come to Ancestry.com and tell us all your family info.
Yeah, I think about stuff like that where it's like, well, if eugenicists are at a billionaire level where they can make chess moves at the world control game, which they are.
Yeah. They're doing something.
Yeah, so I mean, they're thinking about a long con, a lineage. That's what eugenicists are always focused on. Is like that lineage has to be sacred and pure and all this nonsense. Yeah. So you would expect that like they're developing apps for that so that their offspring, their great grandkids, will be able to preview how their grandchildren will look with a partner before they even exist.
Going back to the deep fake is just any talking head.
Hang on a second, I got a piece of that.
All right, yeah.
Back to the deep fake.
But I'm afraid we're going to have to put up with say Scott Pelley and Anderson Cooper forever. Because they're going to have, there's so much footage of their fucking faces that they could have, this is the new CNN anchor for everything. Or this is the Fox News anchor for everything. And they don't have to have a person up there that's going to be, they're not going to find out that Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt. It's just a robot up there talking to you. Yeah. For lack of a better, it's just a CGI thing talking to you, and it looks real. Not saying that they're pretending it's a real person, but it looks real enough where you'll take information from them and not recoil back from it. Because the same thing as watching live action Lion King. I don't know if the lions talk or not, but when Babe the pig talks to you, and Babe is kind of it's a farce. It's a farcical thing.
I've never seen it in the wild.
Yeah,
I haven't been around a lot of hogs. But I've seen.
But when you're watching something unnatural, like when you're watching Look Who's Talking To and the baby's talking to you, you're not going to take anything they say seriously. But if you've got a computer generated man with some salt and pepper hair and a little bit of a beard or something and a little suit, you're going to listen to them, and you can type whatever you want. You don't have to worry about how ethical Anderson Cooper is that week, and you don't have to worry about scandals. You don't have to worry about what's his name that said he was one of the reporters that says he was in this hot fire or
Dan Rather.
No, yeah, it was Brian Williams. I think said he was in some firefight zone when he wasn't and lied about it. I think that's his name.
I can't. It irks me with people that all that they digest the news from is from these like mainstream outlets, because I think they're in a way they're already conditioned and set up for that, for whenever that happens. Because like of course it's going to happen. Yeah. Like think about that. You wouldn't have to have any type of insurance policy, both literally or metaphorically, for this person. Right? No damage control. You could have the person talking look however you want it to, and you can then gather even more information about how your viewership is based on different presets and algorithms you put into the fake CGI characters.
Here's a new member of the team.
It's like how billionaires play video games. You know what I mean? Like they're getting into RPGs.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like they're getting into RPGs.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's Skyrim. I'm going to generate 1,000 rolls of cheese.
Cheese sales.
Yeah.
On the rise.
They're going.
Apparently, 17 stores across the nation can't find cheese anywhere.
They're going to flip to the back page of that report, and if the number goes up, that's good. And if the number goes bad or goes down, that's bad. And let's make some changes and see if we can get this number to go up.
Well, I wonder if like the guys at Charmin had a couple of strings to pull in this pandemic. Whenever they were like one store somewhere sells out of toilet paper, just by chance, and then somebody's like get the news crew, and the guys from Charmin are we got this, then there's also a shortage of toilet paper, and then you see like videos of people on like I guess it's like TikTok and Snapchat or Instagram Live where they're in brawls in the fucking grocery store.
But it's all Charmin. It was all Charmin. It was never Scott's. It was never Scott's brand. It was never Quilted Northern. Every shot, I swear, every shot I saw was Charmin. Charmin. It's like, what? Where?
But that's like how the news will like work. Like if all you do is people are like, it must be on Fox News or something like that. It's like Fox News for all of their credit or discredit. They're the only loud voice with that conglomerate money coming from the right side of the aisle.
Yeah.
And if you think that their puppeteers are connected to the left-wing puppeteers and the news cycle as well, like you're fucking kidding yourself, man.
Somebody was saying, okay, so they got a guy on Fox News, and you know Fox News runs its reporters as personalities. It's not just the news at 6 and then the news show at 7. It's here's Sean Hannity. Oh, here's whatever.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, Tucker Carlson right now for whatever reason. I don't listen to him. I don't know what he says, but he is the top cable draw right now, and you know TV ratings right now to me may as well not exist because one, I don't watch a whole lot of live television, and two, there's so many streaming services out there. You know, you can if you come home, you're going to watch, whatever, The Office or Seinfeld. You're not going to tune in to Big Bang Theory, whatever. Okay. Right. So I don't know what that means when Tucker Carlson is the top cable draw anymore. But if it was a quote-unquote free market for ads, okay, if this guy has the most viewers and I'm Coca-Cola or Pepsi and I want to throw some ads out there, I want to throw them during the Tucker Carlson segment because he's getting the most views.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put my billboard out there on the dirt road. I'm going to put it on I-75. Well, the top contributor to ads for like the past month, Tucker Carlson, is a fucking My Pillow guy. Okay? Because I guess whatever
wasn't he he was in the news like a year or two ago about like some like GoFundMe for the wall or something like that.
I think that may be him. I'm not up on
I may be wrong on that one.
Yeah. And it may be I'm not up on the My Pillow lore. Okay? But I think he's a Republican type fella, and but he was making up a loan, and I'm going to get the figures wrong, but 28 to 38% of all ad revenue on Tucker Carlson's segment, because whatever line Tucker is pulling, whether it's his own or somebody else's or what, I don't know. These other guys are pulling off of there. So all you're seeing are My Pillow ads and buying and selling gold coins, or that's it. So there's, like you said, there's something else pulling the strings, or there's or these other companies are so beholden to whatever is going on right now regarding to quote unquote wokeness that they don't want to be associated with this viewpoint right now.
Right.
Lest we hurt our bottom number.
Yeah. Well, because there's no. Whenever something is in the present tense, it's hard to get a grasp on a trend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And these are folks that are used to working in a proven market.
Yeah.
And everything's so volatile right now.
I can only imagine them in a boardroom. It's like I don't know my number. You know, the polling agency they're using. You know, Drummond is saying, you know, this is not good for young folks wearing knitted caps.
Well, I think a lot of them have also moved into more of a. They'll do it more so with, I guess, you know, text articles. It's not the newspaper anymore. So, like, you know, whatever you find on your social media that is still rhetoric.
Yeah.
But they'll work it into the story. Like the sponsors will work something into the story to protect their own interests. Either that, or sometimes maybe I would argue it's a favor they're doing for somebody else. You know? But no, I'm not a big fan of these big billionaires or these news organizations either. Just because they can, it's all Orwellian to me, right?
Yeah.
Like they're controlling what people are talking about, what is allowed to be said, what's decent, who's decent.
I think they have so much to lose, potentially to lose.
Mm-hmm.
They have to try to control everything they possibly can to keep the train going.
Yeah.
You know, and some of the, once you get to that level, like a Elon Musk or go back a little bit, Howard Hughes, or once you get to that, you're kind of eccentric. Like any of these people are, going to football, Nick Saban, any of these guys that are ultra successful, we're talking about drive earlier. They've got some sort of insane drive where it's 24/7, and whether it's good intentions, bad intentions, there's something driving them, and they've hit some high spots to keep the train on the rails and going.
Right.
They're not got a guy like me in a house, and may have a high drive, but just didn't hit. He didn't hit blackjack when he needed to make everything keep going or whatever.
Right. Well, a guy like Dan Pena, he's the $1 trillion man.
Okay.
Because his net worth, I think, is like something like over $500 billion.
Okay.
But he also invests everything, so he's got like over $1 trillion pretty much.
Yeah.
But he talks about, like, he's the stereotypical asshole capitalist billionaire you think, but he tells it like it is, and he's like, if you think you're high performance, you're not.
Yeah.
He's like you're Elon Musk. He's like, that guy is high performance.
Yeah.
Some of these folks, they'll come to his seminars. He lives in a fucking castle.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
But he's this old guy, grew up in the hood in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
From immigrant parents, and he runs a tough seminar where he talks about hammer closing, but he tells people that, like, you're taught that you can be anything you want to be, and that's fucking stupid. And he'll ask people like how many of you want your kids to be like you, and like a lot of them will like raise their hands, and he's like you're fucking lying.
Yeah, you're full of shit. Yeah.
Like,
people talk about raised the kids today are soft, blah blah blah. It's tale as old as time. The fucking our parents, depending on what they did, I was always told, you don't want to come farm for a living. You don't want to do this. wanted something better
Yeah.
for your kid.
Yeah. My dad talked when I was 18. I was still in high school, but I took the ASVAB, the military test.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got some like high 90 score.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was the mathematics. I got 100% on all sections of mathematics. So the recruiter got a hard on for me.
Yeah, yeah.
But I talked to my dad about it, and he talked me out of it. And it was the first time I really listened and sought my dad's counsel.
Yeah.
And because he grew up in the draft era.
Yes. Yep.
And then he went to war at like 40 years old in Desert Storm, Operation Desert Storm. And so I listened to him. I didn't. Yeah. And like I like who I am. I like my life.
Yeah.
And so I think it all worked out.
Yeah. Similar with me, my dad, draft era, got injured before he got sent over. Mm-hmm. But same thing. Like, so we both graduated at the same time. The year after 9/11, right after the spring after 9/11. Yeah. And it was like
I was in a senior English class in 9/11.
Yeah. I didn't want me to go over there. Don't enlist or whatever, because don't want you to go over there and come back with a one arm or not come back.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. Again, talked out of it because they saw, their buddies or whatever come back or not come back mangled, and didn't want that for their child.
Yeah.
Now that's not in some sort of honorable profession or any, pursuit.
They just didn't. They wanted their kid's life to be better than theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that kind of. The argument like that kind of ties in with like what we were talking about with politics and like a lot of progressives that they're very minded for the future.
Yeah. And
like I agree with a lot of the noble aspects of it, but it's kind of like like when you have a group project in class and you're younger, and the one kid that wants to lead the group, and you're like, if we let this kid lead this group, it's gonna be a disaster.
Yeah. The guy that wants to fucking lead it, like has a hard on to lead it, is usually not who everybody wants to lead it. Because the guy that wants to be fucking president at 19 years old is a dipshit. And nobody fucking likes him. No one wants to hear anything he's got to say.
It doesn't matter how correct their talking points are if you don't want them in charge of it.
I don't want to listen to you. You're browbeating me with stupid shit that doesn't matter. You're talking all this marketing speak that I don't fucking care. That's not fucking real.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate listening to it. There's nothing that just makes me tune you out more when you start saying shit. I was listening. It was a call for work at some point in time. Maybe with another job, I don't know. But the person we had on the other end of the phone said shift the paradigm and guerrilla marketing. Boots on the ground guerrilla marketing. And fuck off. Come on, man. Nothing that takes the wind out of my sails more than just hearing that shit.
Well, it's almost like the rhetoric that's used, aside from like most of it is slogans and buzzwords.
Yeah. Oh.
And like me growing up, going to Catholic school and being in the church, like I know how ideologues operate and how they want you to like now think like us.
Yeah.
Do what we want you to do, and we'll be stronger if you do. Like, hey man, what if I don't want that?
Yeah.
What if I want to branch out and not be a part of you?
Yeah. And it was like I heard somewhere else. It's, I don't know if people were designed to live in these cities that have 10 million people in them.
I don't think they
know,
were, dude.
it's
If we're just looking at the present context when shit hits the fan,
it's a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a when the sewing machine's running, when everything's running smooth, it's still tenuous at best. I mean, you're not supposed to live in a 500 square foot box where you're hearing the next person in their square foot box holler or yell or cry or listen to their TV or whatever. You're not, and everyone becomes faceless in these big cities.
Because there's so many people, like it's quantified into a commodity, right?
Yeah.
So if we've got so many people, then you don't have to necessarily treat people like people.
Yeah.
It encourages the objectification of people, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
When I hear the term human capital, when a marketer or whatever refers to a person that works at a job as human capital, and it goes back to what you're saying. If you can think like this, if you adopt the same thing as think globally, act locally.
Yeah.
That we've been hit over the head with since I remember watching fucking Rugrats on Nickelodeon and hearing that shit. Back then, I remember that because we were at my grandmother's and she had cable. We didn't. We had 3 channels like God intended. But I remember, but the same. I mean, once you start referring to people as human cattle or human capital, same difference, I guess.
Yeah. It becomes cattle.
You're nothing but cattle, and you're nothing but a means to an end for them to make this number go up. I just don't agree with that.
No, I think it's and while it may not, I don't think it's necessarily nefarious as a whole, right? Like most things are nuanced.
Yeah.
But it kind of, you should value yourself, right?
Yeah.
And the more you value yourself and your environment around you, the people you interact with, the better off everybody is, because we're all going to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you take that out, and then it becomes now, you shouldn't think about yourself. You should think about your role. What is your role? Well, your role is what is defined to you by someone who is over you.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't think men were designed, or humankind, from being PC, individuals were designed for that. I think it kind of goes back to what we're talking about with America and why people come here. It's because your lineage can prosper. They can have it better here than what they had elsewhere. Yeah. I mean, we still have inheritance tax. I don't like that. Yeah. I think that's kind of gross, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Same thing with property tax. What people don't understand is if you buy property, if you fail to pay your property tax, you lose your property. So it's not your property.
Yeah.
Everything is leased as just the way the law is set up. It is crazy talking about the Rugrats thing and whatnot. They start putting these, call them programs if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, but indoctrinating us at a very young age.
Yeah.
And I'll run into people that, I mean, they're our age, mid-30s. What I would say is middle age. How my brain feels anyway.
Right.
And they're still sort of fetishized on this Nickelodeon culture, this Star Wars culture.
Yeah. Did you see the last Star Wars movie that came out? It was the trailer for that when it came out, and there was some YouTuber guy, and so it's just a reaction vid of watching the trailer for the first time. Okay, but he's sitting there watching it, and he starts breaking down in tears, like he's seeing as like a parent that he hasn't seen in a long time or thought was dead or something.
Right.
I mean, the look on his face. I'm speechless at that. How you can let a product, and whether it's a cinema product or the story of Star Wars or the characters and whatever, however it makes you feel, how you can let that define you.
Yeah. Well, I think if you start taking out ideas of like purpose and meaning, and you start not necessarily giving in to nihilism, but you listen to the arguments that nihilism throws out there, that there's some tough existential dilemmas that it presents.
Uh-huh.
Fuck, what were we just talking about?
Yeah.
Holy shit. What were we just talking about?
Latching on to these products.
The Star Wars kid.
And indoctrinating.
Yeah. And so if you remove that, and in the vacuum that nihilism is there, then you have fantasy that comes in.
Yeah.
And says, hey, you remember when you were a kid and you didn't have to think about all this stuff?
Yeah.
Guess what? We got some new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Just for you.
And that's a drug in itself.
It really is.
It's a new drug.
Yeah. And I don't understand. No doubt that whenever I'm around a screen is putting out frequencies and more than just light and sounds.
Like oh man. Oh yeah, we're in all sorts of radio shit right now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, God knows what.
There's a tower probably about half a mile through the swamp.
These cell phones, radios, FM, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I remember talking about the Rugrats and these little, just little things popping out at you like that. And I remember one thing, it was like an Earth Day. It was Earth Day. It was a week of Earth Day or whatever. 4/22 is Earth Day? Anyway,
something like that.
They were celebrating or whatever. And again, I don't know how old I am. 7, 8, 9, whatever. Whenever Rugrats was new on Nickelodeon, whatever that was. Talking about you can save water, help save the earth by turning off the faucet when you're brushing your teeth and don't let the water run the whole time. Or take showers instead of baths. It's like, to me, once you start, they're starting it right there where they're putting the onus of global environmental or whatever on the individual and not these companies. These manufacturing places use untold millions of gallons, a week. These center pivot irrigations use God knows how many gallons of water to irrigate a field a year. There's a lifetime of my water usage and probably a summer of one center pivot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe multiple lifetimes.
Right.
You've seen the water those things put off, and then you got to think.
Well, this is just one area that is like the Valdosta metropolitan area is like at the bottom of the list of metropolitan areas in the world.
Yeah, think of Nebraska and Iowa and these ever-stretching, never-ending cornfields or soybean fields and these irrigation systems, that is it Ogallala? I don't know how to pronounce it. Ogallala Aquifer, that encompasses Nebraska and Iowa. It's huge, huge aquifer. The amount that it's supposedly drying up. In California, have these fucking almond farms that we've got for some God knows reason that
People love their almond milk.
I've got nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? Fucking all these milks. They're irrigating in these areas that can't be irrigated like that. You need drip irrigation to be efficient.
Right.
But that's more expensive and more time consuming, I guess. You get a center pivot, you stick in a well, and you put in how many sections you are, and then you've got the maintenance of the well pump, and then the tires that are on the irrigation thing and the sprinkler heads, and there you go. It's off to the races. You don't have individual lines.
Right.
Blah blah blah. Running drip irrigation that's more efficient use of water.
Right.
It's not going to evaporate as much.
Right, but the
waste.
The point being is they want to hold individuals to one standard,
Yeah.
and then companies at a certain level to another standard.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, these companies are people.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
There's a it's like the idea of when people are like, well, capitalism is evil. It's like, well, I was like, everything has a capacity for good and evil.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, we don't live under capitalism. Under capitalism, you don't have federal bailout money for corporations at the American taxpayers' expense.
Right.
The businesses fail.
Yeah.
So what we have is, whether you want to call it, it's a corporatocracy, right? So it's corporate socialism, corporate fascism, crony capitalism, but it's not a free market. It's not capitalism, and
you can argue it's like, well, if I'm the government, it's like, okay, if we keep the businesses afloat, they give the American worker a way to make money and continue their lifestyle long term.
Right.
But short term, we're fucking them.
Yeah, I mean, well, just look at this year in particular, like small businesses.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, dude.
And people, the government told folks that you got to shut down. A government mandate. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're telling me to shut down, and this is the one of the few times, in my opinion, the government, okay, this will go back to, say, February, when we didn't know if that virus was going to liquefy my fucking lungs out of my asshole. What's the virus going to do?
It was the 5G in February.
Yeah. That's the 5G activated the molecules that China's been peppering us with the chemtrails.
That's true though. That's when the flood of misinformation started, was in February.
But assuming, benefit of the doubt, assuming the worst, it's like, okay, I don't trust China to release official numbers. If they're saying 30,000 are dead, that means 300,000 are dead. 3 million are dead. Okay, so all right, the government's telling us to shut down and we need to quarantine or social distance or whatever. This is one of the few times, okay, the government, they're supposed to protect us, from threats, foreign and domestic or whatever. Right. Okay, this is a threat. It's not my fault. It's not your fault. We didn't plan wrong for this. They're telling us to shut down. I need some funds. We'll do it, but I've got to, I've got to buy food. I've got to do something.
Yeah. This isn't something that normal people prepare for. You know what I mean? They shut the whole fucking country down.
And if you want to ask my real opinion on it,
I do.
This is not the first fucking thing that's come out of China. As far as you got SARS, the first iteration of SARS, the H1N1, if I'm not mistaken, came out of China. MERS, which is the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which I believe is a same SARS variant.
I saw something where I could be wrong, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I saw something where something was going on with some sort of transnational deep state operation where it was a sect of people that were in the American government. It wasn't the American government, but it was some people that had access and money were doing business with some people in the Canadian government that had access to stuff that were then using the front of the Chinese labs in case shit went sideways. Yeah. And I don't know if that's what was going on the whole time, but regardless, I agree with you. The government of China, from what I can tell, is not a trustworthy government.
No, But
much less trustworthy than our own government.
well, yeah, and if the origin of those previous viruses were from wet markets, from just the piles of people on top of one another, or it was a bioengineered virus that accidentally came out of a lab due to the careless mishandling. Pick the origin of it. If they did come from China, it's not the first time, and it's these other governments' duty on the world stage to say, "Hey, this is no good for anybody. We've got to do something about this. You've got to change. If you want all this to run correctly." And I'm doing my arm in a big circle motion, like running around the track. If you want all this to run correctly, and you want us to keep buying your fucking shit, and the world to keep buying your shit, and whatever else is going on, y'all got to fix this. And that was a failure, years in the making.
Yeah.
On multiple fronts, from United Nations.
Yeah. Well, it's tied together back to what we were talking about with the Clinton stuff. So if you think about it, like whenever that happened and most of our manufacturing started going elsewhere, in particular towards a lot of these Chinese companies. So what happens in a business deal is not that just China makes money off of it, but there's other people that when you invest, you make money back. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, on top of that, we now have a situation in 2020 where medical supplies that we're dependent on,
which I had no clue about.
No,
I'm
not in that industry,
and I'm dumb enough where you get a box of Band-Aids, Band-Aid brand, sponsored by Band-Aid brand.
Mm-hmm. Not an official sponsor.
Yeah. I love Band-Aids. They adhere well. Even when I get sweaty. On the back of them, they say made in China. The gauze pads, whether it's Rite Aid generic brand or Band-Aid brand, whatever, it says made in China.
Yeah.
So why the fuck why wouldn't our generic Benadryl and Motrin and everything else be made over there too?
Yeah.
And stupid me for thinking we would make our own medicine.
Well, again, not to beat a dead horse, but they do it under the guise of this way it'll be cheaper for the consumers. Well. It hasn't. The prices have been going up. Wages have sort of been staying at the same. If they're going up at probably a fifth of the rate that everything else is going.
Yeah.
But yet, if you look at I forget who said it, talking about the stock market, it's like a reflection of rich people's feelings.
Yeah.
Nothing more. We need something tangible. Even right now in 2020 in this crisis, stock market's okay.
It's
okay.
It makes me think that money isn't real.
Well, it's not.
The Fed
An economy is.
Yeah.
But money it's a faith-based system. You know what I mean?
The Fed printing all this money, and don't get me wrong, if you're going to shut me down, I need some of the funds, but the money comes from me and you. The taxes. It comes from folks working. It's not government money, but with the Fed and how it's laid out, it's almost like they can print more money, just print it out and give it out. And
if it crashes, they're going to be okay.
Yeah,
and then they'll figure out something else to do that will benefit them, and then again, you can get some trickle from it. Well, because we don't have. I think it was in 1871. I could be wrong, it may be 1873, but there was an act that happened that officially made the United States a corporation.
Yeah.
And not a country. Yeah. And a lot of it seems that it was because of this that Woodrow Wilson was able to come in and bring in something like the Federal Reserve.
Uh-huh.
And where now our currency wasn't based on things that were also material precious metals or land or even promissory notes to be hey, I promise to work for X amount of time for this money.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
Yeah. I just wonder what the inflation is going to do in years to come because of this. And I don't know if that's going to have a tangible effect on my everyday life, or or it'll just be these fake numbers like I'm seeing today. It's like 9 trillion, 10 trillion. What does that mean to me?
I'd say that like this summer, and if not, then the next couple months to come, I imagine some bottom will drop out before the election. And then after, because now they're talking about we won't know the election results on election day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's going to be And there
sounds like people trying to rig an election.
Well,
that's just me.
Well, I love it because the vaccine and everything. They start peppering it with you. Late spring is like we may have something by the fall.
Oh yeah.
And then they start peppering you with this stuff to go ahead and like normalize you, getting you ready for the shoe to drop.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we knew it was going to happen. We've been talking about it since July.
Have you seen? It was something for the swine flu. It was either in the late 70s. If it was the 80s, it was like 81 at the latest. But it was back when you still had journalism and telejournalism. I think it was Mike Wallace at 60 Minutes, if I'm not mistaken, did an expose on somebody that was. I don't think it was the FDA. Maybe it was the FDA. But on a swine flu pandemic that was happening, and that you needed to get this flu shot, this new vaccine that came out, and they didn't have many cases, but they still had cases. I think it was like something like 400 people got like deformities like from this vaccine, and then they did a marketing campaign with it where they had celebrities on it. And they put it in like movies, and they normalized for whenever it was available. And one of the celebrities they used was Mary Tyler Moore, and she did this interview with Mike Wallace after the fact, and was like I did not endorse this at all. She's like, they're like, did you talk with your doctor? And she's like, I did. They're like, did he recommend the vaccine? She's like, he did. And she said, in hindsight, he told me that he messed up and he was glad that I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Because they had a switcheroo, right? So what happened was they had I think this was in 1978 was the actual scandal.
Yeah.
They had the vaccine that they advertised that they had all these clinical tests was what the people agreed to. However, that was not what they had in stock. They had a different company and a different vaccine in stock, and they were trying those out as well.
I mean, especially in wartime, these countries, all of them, have experimented on people recently. I mean, very, very recent.
Yeah, World War II was not even 100 years ago.
No, and the Japanese were experimenting on people. The Germans were experimenting on people. I'm sure Americans were.
Oh yeah, we still have Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got is a paperclip where they brought over the German scientists to preserve the information.
Yeah, and they went into intelligence and into NASA.
Yeah,
and Werner von Braun was one of the big Nazis.
Yeah,
and he headed the Apollo program.
Yeah,
the definitely the most factual and. Truthful program out of anything NASA's done.
Well,
lies.
A lot of that stuff, like when they're talking about Roswell and stuff like that, when they announce it, just like they're announcing now that they're opening investigations into these what do they call it?
The recovered crafts.
UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah.
They call it that now, and now there's going to be a UAPTF, the task force. And it's like every time the government announces this publicly, it's like it's to cover up some sort of weapons program that they're developing and testing. So it's like when Trump slipped up the other week and said super missile. That's one of his it's one of his cool character flaws, as he wants you to think he's smart. And like him,
Oh yeah,
he wants to be liked. Is that he tries to make you think he knows stuff, and he wants you to know that he knows stuff. He has terrible time of keeping stuff under his hat, and like, and it may have been a Freudian slip too when he was like, we're developing the AIDS vaccine. We've got that, and we got this super duper missile, and it's like, what the?
There was one press conference he had. It was at someplace in Texas where they were putting up a border wall, and they were showing like the inside of like some of the pieces of the wall, and like the ballast and concrete and all that. Yeah. And then he's there with a couple of generals and some contractors, and he's talking about he's like we've got cameras that are set up. Yeah. We've got the GPS trackers and more. Don't we have more? He looks over at the one of the generals, and the general's like, perhaps it would be best if we not say more on that, sir. It's like, oh, it's good thinking.
Yeah. That's why he's a general.
So I mean, like there is something comforting with that, where it's just like, Where people are like, I think the president lies. Is like, well, no shit.
You fucking
fucking detective, call a sarge.
Goddamn.
This one's closed.
Columbo? Is that you?
Jeepers. Oh, it's fucking ridiculous, man. I think that this whole notion of like what socialism is changing a lot in people's minds, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Because we need to have some sort of social program going on whenever like the government forcibly closes your business but then allows other businesses to stay open. If you think about it, if you're an entrepreneur, your business is essential for you to provide. And then I see folks like Gavin Newsom, who kept his winery open, and then forced other people to shut their their businesses down.
Yeah, that's like when you're the governor and the garbage dump over here needs land for their next wherever the next garbage dump is going to be, and just so happens I've got some land on that side of town, and I think it'd be a good spot to put the next dump.
Yeah. It's in your backyard.
Yeah.
Or adjacent from it.
Oh.
But I think that if we take more of a stance of, if we don't let the government take control over something, but instead you limit with law what companies can do, and with what our tax money, like, we should be, this whole notion of like a defund and abolish and all this stuff. Why don't we just start auditing everything?
Yeah.
I think that's a more rational thing that we should be doing.
When they give out this money and they're like, well, where'd it go? It's like, well, I don't know. We just gave it to them.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Dan Pena, that $1 trillion man, at one of his YouTube videos, he's doing a conference, and he frames his $1,200 stimulus check. He's like, there's mothers on fucking welfare that are not allowed to work.
Yeah.
Like, there's, single parents that the businesses are shut down. They're still waiting, can't get unemployment. But yet the government made sure that my rich ass got it. He's like, this is a fucking shame. So we had it framed because it shows you how corrupt government is.
It's sorry. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Well, the first deal that they came to, there was some stuff in there that, like, they had all this money that was set aside for like installing railways, and then there was like another, like, I know there was $25 million for the Kennedy Center. Yeah. And then they laid off and fired the orchestra from like the Kennedy Center.
Yeah. All that extra shit. It's like, why don't we?
Whatever. Well, where did it go? Like, all that money, where did it go? Some of these states now, some of the stuff in the executive orders is contingent on the states. Like, if I think it's like to get more, they have to do something. Yeah. Well, some of these states, they don't even have the money anymore that was given to them.
to know that every 99.9% of people out there have to budget their money down to the $10, whatever amount to the penny, every month to make sure their shit is where it needs to be. And I've got enough for this tiny emergency right there, this emergency, and not really anything bigger than my $400 savings or whatever. The amount of people that have to do that, which is a lot of fucking folks, and work their ass off to be able to do that. And these fuckers are so willy-nilly with giving out the money on these deals and don't audit it, and you don't know where it went, and it's just life-changing amounts of money.
Yeah.
And
like where when you start actually following the money, you start looking at like how much of the money goes for their travel and entertainment. How much of our taxpayer money is going elsewhere to other countries?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a nationalist in that regard, but I'm sorry, like I'm being taxed on like a state level, so I want to make sure my state is safe for everybody to live in, and like we live in a good state, at least in 2020, and at least I don't know how the northern part of Georgia is doing in this week, but at least the southern part is like holding its own.
Well, I mean, you can go, the restaurants are open. People are putting on masks at the grocery store and Lowe's. I see them in there with the mask on. Everybody's standing in line, a good bit away from each other. At work, people are taking precautions and trying to keep it open. Because I think if you go by the CDC standards, there's not a single fucking business that would be open if you go by what the CDC says.
Well, they keep changing like the rubric that they're using like over and over. And again, when you start looking at like the money and you start realizing that this is sort of planned to be chaotic. Yeah. And so that whenever everything's a chaos, what people want is for someone to come in and bring order. Yeah. And just
make it go away.
Yeah, some people fantasize about it and romanticize it, like, oh, just take us back to the good old days. Yeah. Other times people are like, all right, let's set the future right. Yeah. But no matter what it is, they want something or someone to come in and tell them what to do and have a solution for it. Yeah. And it ties in with that that problem, reaction, solution, where you have people that cause a problem, then they offer the solution to it as well. And some of these places like the WHO and the CDC and Gavi and some of these other like big names in the health industry, they have had a lot to profit with like how we move forward from this. And especially with if they keep changing the information and keep saying, well, what they now know, and they still want you to adhere, then that means they themselves can be blameless and not take responsibility, yet you can. You can. So, like in Melbourne, Australia, people may not know this, like there's a lockdown, like a firm lockdown in Melbourne. Yeah. And there's a video that went viral of a cop choking a woman who had a reason not to wear a mask. Yeah. And then, like, he like gives her a fucking proper WWE choke slam. Yeah. And people that they're applauding this, and these are also the same people I'll see that are like tweeting out, like abolish the police and defund the police and whatnot. They want they won't watch the world burn. I feel
they won't everything they want right then at that moment. They don't think ahead. Or they don't have the ability to think ahead in that way. It's like, all right, defund the police, and we'll bring in a new police force tomorrow that has these goals and these ideals and does everything perfect. And let's go ahead and do that tomorrow, and it's done. Simple as that.
If you guys don't like it, don't worry. I have my own private police because I can afford to pay people.
I've heard that's become a thing too with some more well-to-do folks up in like Northeast, like these little private security firms are getting very busy. People in the cities and stuff hanging around the rich folks or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they're escorting them to the store or just hanging around their apartment building or hanging around their house in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's like say South Africa where you've got extremely wealthy next to extremely destitute, and you've got 12-foot concrete walls around all your property and automatic gates in and out of your property.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like that.
Yeah. Have places like that in Israel where they'll have like Jew-only zones.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I don't, because that's how, again, like it's ideologues that control governments that operate like that.
Yeah.
So the ideologues become bureaucrats.
Yeah.
And like you talk about the best of both fucking worlds.
Yeah.
Jeepers. Shit, man. We've been going about 3 hours and 27 minutes.
All right.
Fucking good shit,
All right.
dude.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Not so bad, is it?
Yeah. I know I'm a stupid idiot and I can't talk half the time, but I was better than I thought.
Yeah, man. It's something because I mean it's just us. Like I said, it's just us hanging out, anyways. But there is something oddly therapeutic about it. You know what I mean?
Getting it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just trying to express ideas as best you can.
Yeah,
trying to stay on the tracks.
You know, because I don't agree with everything that any one person says. I don't agree with myself. If I look back 5 years, maybe I don't agree with what I was thinking then.
I definitely don't agree with myself 5 years ago.
But I hate this discourse where you're limited to these 128 character snippets, or you're limited to this 1 minute 30-second video on whatever news show, and that's when all you have time to say what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And there's no actual discourse or discussion.
There's no depth to it, and I think you see that with like Twitter, where it's created this own culture where it's the illusion of public discourse, but again, it's become an echo chamber for what the board at Twitter wants people to talk about and want to be acceptable.
Yeah,
and like that's what they'll decide. Like it's not, the trends aren't decided by.
No, Clinton body count.
Oh yeah,
got changed to Trump body count with after Epstein.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they allowed that one. Yeah. Now you see stuff coming out now with like save the children, and save our children.
Yeah, and
it's like, what the fuck, man. But no, I agree, dude. I don't agree with anybody, and you know I'm a pretty odd bird. But I think I don't know. I think the more we can start to realize that the solution is not social media, as far as to understand how complex the art of communication is and where knowledge through communication can take us. I think if we just only focus on that Twitter mob mentality, that gets nothing done. The slogans, and like I'm guilty of like making posts as well, but like it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
like it doesn't do anything. This podcast does a lot more than like me putting out a fucking tweet about how potatoes are racist and misogynistic. Which I mean I don't buy that at all. I think potatoes are actually delicious.
Yeah.
So, but anywho, thank you so much, bro.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Come back anytime. Later, y'all.